Chapter 681. The situation on the 10,000 Tribes battlefield was changing rapidly. The human race had conquered half of the Shadow Clan's territory, and the various clans also had victories and defeats. In the midst of the great battle, there was no way to avoid the deaths of living beings. The blood of these fallen creatures seeped into the ground and was gradually absorbed by the divine weapon. Meanwhile, after absorbing the blood of living beings, the divine weapon was also slowly expanding. However, this expansion was very slow. It wasn't something that anyone could detect. But at the same time, it wasn't that no one was able to detect it. The world is expanding. No, the 10,000 Tribes battlefield is expanding! Xiao Chunfeng closed his eyes and spread out his perception. Instantly, he discovered these clues. The pressure of the 10,000 Tribe battlefield. There was no way to restrict his spiritual perception. Therefore, as long as Xiao Chunfeng willed it, half of the 10,000 Tribe battlefield would fall into his perception. Because of this, Xiao Chunfeng could sense that the 10,000 Tribe battlefield was expanding. Absorbing the blood of 10,000 races to forge a divine weapon. Could it be that the Qin Emperor wants to forge a world-shaking divine weapon? Xiao Chunfeng opened his eyes, and his expression became complicated. The 10,000 Tribes battlefield was already very strong. If someone was able to control it, it would be enough even if it was comparable to a 9-sealed Dao treasure. However, this was far from the limit of this divine weapon. Xiao Chunfeng found it hard to imagine how powerful this divine weapon would be when it reached its peak. Comparable to Zhu Bing. However, it was hard to say how many tribulations Zhu Bing was comparable to. Xiao Chunfeng did not think too much about this matter. He focused his attention on himself. I've stopped at the 7th layer of the Sky Human stage for quite some time. After another 1 or 2 months of polishing, I will be able to break through to the 8th layer of the Sky Human stage. Judging by the current situation, I should be able to polish my cultivation base to perfection within 3 years. After polishing my realm to perfection, I can break through to the true immortal realm, becoming an immortal in 3 years. This was the goal that Xiao Chunfeng had set for himself. That wasn't right either. This was all part of Xiao Chunfeng's plan. Becoming an immortal in 3 years was his plan. For the reincarnation of immortal monarch Haotsung, the leap from diviner to true immortal had never been difficult. It was truly difficult. It was the leap from the 9th level of immortal to the level above the natural order. But the problem was, if one wanted to break through beyond the precepts, one had to lay down a strong enough foundation at every step. In this way, only then would a breakthrough at the last minute become a matter of course. Therefore, the purpose of Xiao Chunfeng's reincarnation was to take a peek at the rules. If it was just for the sake of becoming a true immortal, or even recovering the cultivation level of his previous life, there would be no need for him to recultivate. Inside Yu City, the humans began to clean up the battlefield. Although the corpses would return to heaven and earth, there was a prerequisite, and that was that no one pick them up. Once it was picked up by someone, in that case, the corpses would be considered as spoils of war by default. Naturally, there would be no such thing as returning to heaven and earth. The 5 elements Eldar. In the first place, they were born from the 5 elements of heaven and earth. In the end, they developed flesh and blood and became true living beings. In essence, the 5 elemental Eldar was a rare material. A high-level 5 elements Eldar was an even more precious treasure. Therefore, the corpses of the 5 elements Eldar could not be wasted. 5 elements essence! Ling Huayu's eyes turned red. Her original natural and unrestrained attitude had completely disappeared at this time. With the essence of the 5 elements in hand, she was confident that she could forge a powerful divine weapon that was comparable to a Dao artifact. As a Grand Master Forger, there was nothing more exciting than forging a divine weapon. Thinking of this, Ling Huayu suddenly rose into the air, and her voice was directly transmitted. As long as there are 10 corpses of the 5 elements Eldar of the God martial arts realm, no matter what realm, I can forge a top spiritual weapon for free. The power of the spiritual weapon is no less than a two-sealed Tao artifact, and there is no upper limit. If there are corpses of the 5 elements Eldar of the Deva realm, you can also come to me. At that time, we will discuss the specific forging matters. Her voice spread. It covered the entire battlefield. Those human cultivators and players couldn't help but look at Ling Huaiyu, and then looked at the corpses of the 5 elements Eldar in their hands. Their eyes suddenly became fiery. Top spiritual weapon! This term, which was extremely unfamiliar in the past, was now completely rooted in people's hearts. The reason was, it was because the top spiritual weapon came from the hands of Qin Shijian. At this point, only then did the others know. It turned out that a spiritual weapon could also be comparable to a Tao artifact. This kind of spiritual weapon had a name, which was called a top spiritual weapon. 10 corpses of the god martial arts realm. It was about equivalent to 1,000 merit points. 1,000 merit points could be exchanged for the most basic Tao artifact, which was a one-sealed Tao artifact. The true precious role of a one-sealed Tao artifact was to suppress fate and have the possibility of independent growth. But the problem was, now that the fate of the sects in the world belonged to the Qianyuan sacred ground, it was not very useful for ordinary people to exchange for a Tao artifact. The only function was probably to suppress one's own fate. In this way, the role of a Tao artifact would be reduced a lot. As for the possibility of independent growth, that was even more nonsense. A Tao artifact's growth could easily take thousands of years. After such a long time. Unless one was a true immortal expert, otherwise one would turn into ashes. So, such a Tao artifact could generally only be used as an inheritance of a family or sect. It was used to bless the younger generation. As for oneself, there was no way to enjoy it too much. In comparison, a top spiritual weapon, which was at least comparable to a two-sealed Tao artifact, was more practical. Moreover, Ling Huaiyu said that it was at least a two-sealed Tao artifact. If one was lucky, wouldn't it mean that it had the possibility of being comparable to a 3-sealed Tao artifact? Such a deal. Basically, no one would refuse. After shouting, Ling Huaiyu landed on the city wall. Yin Banchen coughed and asked, "If there are celestial corpses, what kind of magic weapons can Elder Ling forge?" "Elder Yin, how many celestial corpses do you have? What are their levels?" "There are 2 golden Eldar celestial corpses. One is at the 3rd level of the celestial being realm, and the other is at the 1st level of the celestial being realm." Yin Banching looked at the storage ring and then gave an answer. He had picked up the corpse at the 3rd level of the celestial being realm. Or else, with Yin Banching's strength at the 1st level of the celestial being realm, there was no way he could kill a golden Eldar at the 3rd level of the celestial being realm. Hearing this, Ling Huaiyu suddenly looked a little excited. "Elder Yin, if you give these 2 corpses to me, I am confident that I can forge a magic weapon comparable to a 3-sealed Tao artifact, or at least a 3-sealed Tao artifact." The 3rd level of the celestial being realm was just right. If it was at the saint level, she was not confident that she could forge it. The 3rd level of the celestial being realm. It was the most suitable casting material. Compared to Ling Huaiyu's excitement, Yin Banqing's face was slightly stiff. "You are confident? That is to say, there is a possibility of failure?" Ling Huaiyu rolled his eyes. "Elder Yin, if there is a 100% success rate, it is probably at the level of the Qin Emperor. Besides, even if it is the Qin Emperor who forges a magic weapon, I am afraid that it will not fail. Casting was naturally risky. If the casting failed, it would be a failure." Suddenly, Yin Banqing hesitated. Ling Huaiyu said patiently, "Elder Yin, think about it carefully. A 1-sealed Tao artifact only costs 1,000 merit points, a 2-sealed Tao artifact already costs 3,000 merit points, and a 3-sealed Tao artifact costs 10,000 merit points. A corpse at the 3rd level of the celestial being realm can only be exchanged for 1,500 merit points. Plus the corpse at the 1st level of the celestial being realm, it is only 2,000 merit points. With such merit points, You can't even exchange for a 2-sealed Dao artifact. Now, as long as you give me the corpse, you will have a chance to get a top magic weapon comparable to a 3-sealed Dao artifact. Isn't this a good deal? Ling Huayu's words. Yin Banqing was a little tempted. If that was the case, it was indeed more cost-effective to give the corpse to Ling Huayu to forge a magic weapon. However, the possibility of failure was really a little f***ed up. Yin Banqing looked suspicious. Elder Ling is forging a magic weapon for me for free. I wonder what benefits it will bring you. I have reached a bottleneck. If I forge a magic weapon, there is hope to break through this bottleneck. Ling Huayu didn't hide anything and said calmly. If it was in the past. In the past, she was already at the peak of forging when she was a Grand Master. But with the appearance of the human emperor forging technique, Ling Huayu really knew that breaking through to the Grand Master level was just a new starting point. Just like the Array Grand Master, the Grand Master level of forging was also divided into 3 realms. Now, she was only in the first realm. There were still the second and third realms. According to Ling Huayu's guess, Qin Shujian was very likely in the third realm. It was just that if a Grand Master wanted to break through, in addition to a flash of inspiration, he also needed to forge a large number of magic weapons and gain some experience from it. Hearing that, Yin Banqing also felt relieved in his heart. If that was the case, then it made sense. He wasn't worried about any problems. It was just that Ling Huayu suddenly became so kind that Yin Banqing wanted to know more. The cleaning of the war. It didn't last for very long. Not long after, everyone cleaned up the corpses. Every battle, no matter how great the victory was, meant that there would be deaths and injuries. For these things, Qin Yuanbai and the others were already very open-minded. Deaths and injuries were inevitable. If any race wanted to rise, they couldn't avoid bloodshed. Now some people died. In the future, fewer people would die. In the city lord's mansion, Qin Yuanbai said, "Those cultivators who are seriously injured and can no longer fight, let them choose. If they want to stay in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, they can still stay here. If they want to go back, they can also be escorted back. As for resources, send a batch over every year. At least they won't be disappointed." In the end, Qin Yuanbai added, "This is what Emperor Qin wants. I'm just conveying it. That's the best way to do it." Xia Kun nodded. The other elders also didn't raise any objections. After all, these cultivators all fought for the human clan, which was why they ended up in such a situation. It was reasonable. They had to be treated well. Otherwise, the human clan's heart would be broken. Moreover, they didn't want to be kicked out by the Qianyuan sacred ground to fend for themselves if they ended up in such a situation one day. After briefly conveying Qin Shujian's message, Qin Yuanbai said, "Also, Emperor Qin hopes that Elder Fang will remove all the backup plans he left in the human clan's territory. They can't be used again in the future." "What?" Fang Xinglan was stunned and then said in confusion, "If we do this, then the defense of the Qianyuan sacred ground will be weakened a lot." The victory of this battle. A large part of the reason was the effect of the formation. If all the backup plans of Qin Shujian were removed, then the defensive strength of the Qianyuan sacred ground would be weakened by at least half. Qin Yuanbai coughed lightly. "There is news that not long ago, a thunder tribulation appeared in the Liangshan spiritual domain and finally struck down in the Endless Mountains. It is suspected that it was aimed at Emperor Qin." He only said half of these words. But at this time, the others suddenly understood. No wonder Emperor Qin wanted to remove the backup plans. It turned out that he was targeted by the Thunder Tribulation. Seeing this, Fang Xinglan couldn't say anything more. The defensive strength of the human clan's territory was important, but at the same time, the safety of Qin Shujian was more important. If he was killed by the Thunder Tribulation, then the Qianyuan sacred ground would be disbanded. And, before Emperor Qin was killed by the Thunder Tribulation, he would probably come to the 10,000 clan battlefield to kill him. I heard that the Great Xiao Empire has already taken half of the Shadow Clan's territory, forcing the Shadow Clan to set up a dark shadow canopy to defend. Qin Yuan, I said. Dark shadow canopy? Some elders looked puzzled. This name was very unfamiliar to them. The Golden Rock King said in a deep voice. The dark shadow canopy is one of the trump cards of the Shadow Clan. It is a powerful defensive means set up at the cost of the lives of many Shadow Clan members. The strength of the dark shadow canopy depends on the strength of the Shadow Clan cultivators sacrificed. I heard that in ancient times, there was a Shadow Clan true immortal who set up the dark shadow canopy. Even if the ancient emperors wanted to break it, it was not an easy task. The people who came out of Tiamen Island. The Golden Rock King had the knowledge of ancient inheritances. Methods like the dark shadow canopy. Unless one had a deep understanding of the Shadow Clan, there were not many cultivators who really knew about it. The Great Xiao Empire had long planned to deal with the Shadow Clan, so they were very familiar with the dark shadow canopy. But on the Qianyuan sacred grounds side, it was a lot worse. After hearing the Golden Rock King's explanation, the others also had a deep understanding of the dark shadow canopy. Qin Yuanbai nodded and said, The dark shadow canopy can be put aside for now. Now that most of the 5 elements Eldar have been killed or injured, their strength has weakened a lot. We may be able to take advantage of this opportunity to take down the 5 elements Eldar's territory. Otherwise, if the 5 elements Eldar's strength is weakened, I'm afraid that other clans will target them. The Great Xiao Empire had already taken down half of the Shadow Clan's territory. If the Qianyuan sacred ground did not make any progress, it would be a little awkward. So, the 5 elements Eldar's attack on the human clan's territory this time was both a bad and a good thing. At least the Qianyuan sacred ground could defeat the 5 elements Eldar. Next, they could take advantage of this opportunity to wipe out the 5 elements Eldar in one fell swoop. Attacking the 5 elements Eldar is a good opportunity. Cui Huai nodded, and then his expression became hesitant again. But the problem is that although the 5 elements Eldar's strength is weakened, there are still powerful figures. It won't be easy for us to take them down. Hearing this sentence, the others also felt a little heavy in their hearts. The drawbacks of the Qianyuan sacred ground. At this time, they were exposed again. Without enough powerful figures, they could only passively defend and had no opportunity to attack. Shui Huai's words. It was heart-wrenching. Qin Yuanbai pondered for a moment and said, It's impossible for us to take down all the 5 elements Eldar. In my opinion, it's better to integrate our forces and attack one of the clans with all our strength. Although Neodali is a saint cultivator, his strength is enough to kill a master in the 9th tier of the celestial being realm. It's no problem for him to lead the attack. With Holy Fire's assistance, none of the 5 elements spirit clans will be able to stop them. That's appropriate. Yin Banqing nodded slightly. The Qianyuan sacred ground was not necessarily weak. At the very least, the strength that Neodali showed in this battle really shocked everyone. It was effortless. He killed God Dong of the Gold Eldar on the spot. Such strength. It was probably not much worse than Xiang's. In this way, the Qianyuan sacred ground could be regarded as a force with top powerhouses. The only difference was that there were too few powerful figures, not as many as there were in the Great Zhao's sacred ground. King of Azure Billows, who had been silent. At this time, he suddenly said, If we want to attack the 5 elements Eldar, I suggest that we attack the Water Eldar. Why? Qin Yuanbai looked puzzled. King of Azure Billows said, The 5 elements Eldar basically have means of self-protection. Among them, the Gold Eldar has the Gengjin Sword Realm, which is similar to the Shadow Clan's Dark Shadow Canopy, and has more killing power. It's not easy to break through the Gengjin Sword Realm. As for the Wood Eldar, they have similar means. King of Azure Billows' words. It gave the others a certain understanding of the 5 elements Eldar. Then, Fan Xinglan said in a deep voice, So the Water Eldar doesn't have means of self-protection? Of course the Water Eldar does. I don't know if you've heard of the Qin River, but the first water Eldar in the world was born in the Chin River. Since then, any spiritual intelligence born in the rivers and seas of the world has been classified as a water Eldar. Therefore, the water Eldar's means are similar to the Chin River, which they call the Bitter Sea. Of course, compared with the real Chin River, it's far inferior. But even so, it's not easy for ordinary people to cross the Bitter Sea. King of Azure Billows paused for a moment. Then he said with a faint smile, "However, I, the Eldar, have a seven-sealed Taoist weapon spirit ship, which was refined by a true immortal in the ancient times. Except for the Chin River, no water in the world can stop the spirit ship. Unless the water Eldar has a true immortal who personally set up the Bitter Sea, it can't stop the spirit ship." The seven-sealed Taoist weapon spirit ship! This was the real trump card of King of Azure Billows. Fang Xinglan asked anxiously, "How big is the spirit ship and how many people can it hold?" "Elder Fang, you should know that a Taoist weapon can freely change its size, so it can hold practitioners. But the more people there are, the more energy it will consume. According to my estimation, the spirit ship can hold 1,000,000 people at most. If it exceeds this number, it may not work." King of Azure Billows gave a conservative estimate. In this regard, the others were also satisfied. It was enough to hold 1,000,000 people. Qin Yuanbai smiled faintly. The main purpose of attacking the Water Eldar is to deal with the celestial being practitioners. The Water Eldar below the celestial being level is not a problem. But this time we can issue some missions. Anyone above the physical invulnerability realm who is willing to go with the army can go to attack the Water Eldar. Okay. Yin Banqing nodded. The human clan was planning to attack the 5 Elements Eldar. The 5 Elements Eldar. Now they were in a passive state of defense. With the death of Dongxun, the Gold Eldar's strength had been greatly reduced. So far, there were only 2 celestial beings at the 7th level. At this moment, just as King of Azure Billows said, the Gold Eldar took the initiative to give up part of its territory and then condensed its power to set up the Gingjin Sword Realm, turning this place into a dangerous place except for the Gold Eldar. Similarly, both the Wood Eldar and the Water Eldar were the same. There was no other way. In the 10,000 clan battlefield, if any force entered a weakened state, it would be targeted by other forces. The 5 Elements Eldar. They could be considered a mid-tier race, and the territory they occupied was not small. Judging from the current trend of heaven and earth, the more territory it occupied and the more experts it produced, the stronger the trend of heaven and earth it obtained. The trend of heaven and earth the 5 Elements Eldar controlled was not small. In this case, naturally, many clans and forces had their eyes on the 5 Elements Eldar. In the past, the 5 Elements Eldar was not weak and was a vassal of the Demon Clan. No clan would easily attack. But it was different now. The 5 Elements Eldar's strength had been greatly reduced. Even if they had the Demon Clan's skin, it was useless. In the 10,000 clan battlefield, no matter how strong an ally was, it was only an ally's strength. Whenever a war broke out, it would affect a lot of things. Even if the Demon Clan was strong. At this time, they did not dare to act recklessly. Or else, the situation of this top clan would become difficult. At this moment, the Demon Clan's territory was also preparing their troops. Tianhong was in the main city, listening to the reports of others. After a while, Tianhong said, "Let's put the 5 Elements Eldar's matter aside. Don't worry too much about it for now. If any clan attacks the 5 Elements Eldar, we have a reason to intervene. We can't fail again. Otherwise, everyone will know that the Demon Clan's strength has been greatly reduced. By then, it will be more difficult for our clan to advance further." During this time, Tianhong was also under a lot of pressure. The main reason was, it was because the Demon Clan's army had failed to attack the Illusory tribe. That was right. They had failed. As a top clan, destroying a small clan like the Illusory tribe was just a matter of waving their hands. But now in the 10,000 clan battlefield, the Demon Clan had failed to attack the Illusory tribe. The reason was that the Illusory tribe had many reinforcements. But this was not a reason for the demon clan to fail. If the demon clan was at their peak, no matter how many reinforcements there were, the demon clan was confident that they could take them down in one fell swoop. But not now. The demon clan's strength had been greatly reduced. They did not even have a great sage in the 10th level of the celestial being realm. There were not even many almighty experts. As such, the failure of the demon clan's attack on the illusory tribe was unexpected but also reasonable. It was acceptable for them to fail once. But if they failed again and again, the demon clan's power would fall to the freezing point. So, Tianhong did not dare to act rashly. Instead, he waited silently for a suitable opportunity to act. He had to ensure that the demon clan had an absolute chance of winning the second battle. Then, Tianhong continued, "How's the progress of collecting the blood of living beings?" Hearing this, a demon saint replied in a deep voice, "We have sent most of our clansmen out. All the collected blood of living beings has been transported back to our clan's mystic realm as soon as possible." Speaking of this, he looked a little puzzled. "Lord Tianhong, may I ask why the demon emperor wants to collect the blood of living beings?" The other demon saints also looked puzzled at this time. The matter of collecting the blood of living beings. It was not a big deal, but it was not small either. If this spread out, it would definitely cause some unnecessary controversy. Tianhong said calmly, "You know that the heavenly demon temple has been damaged. The main purpose of collecting the blood of living beings is to nurture the heavenly demon temple. Otherwise, the demon clan will never have any chance of winning against the human clan. But you can't spread this matter without permission. If you know, just keep it to yourself." The heavenly demon temple. The other demon saints looked at each other with a look of realization. If that was the case, then it was understandable. In the demon clan's mystic realm of the 4 major continents, the original heavenly demon temple had been placed in the dragon transformation pool. As for the original dragon transformation pool water, it had turned scarlet at this time. The demon emperor was expressionless as he poured all the collected blood of living beings into the dragon transformation pool. He could only smell the stench of blood in the air. Then the scarlet pool water seemed to be boiling as it kept bubbling. "I want more blood! Kill a few more, then I'll have a chance to recover. If you can kill a few true immortals for me, I can even transcend the tribulation and become a 4-tribulation Zhu Bing. At that time, even the sky-breaking halberd may not be able to break my defense." The heavenly demon temple's urgent voice came from the dragon transformation pool. The demon emperor was expressionless as he poured the last of the blood into the pool. He said indifferently, "Let's not talk about killing true immortals for now. The current situation in the 4 major continents is not suitable for killing true immortals. When the demon abyss arrives, Benwan will kill those demon gods and use their blood to nourish you." A 4-tribulation Zhu Bing was powerful. But the difficulty of advancing was not ordinary. Given the current situation of the heavenly demon temple, the demon emperor was not confident that he could help them advance to a 4-tribulation Zhu Bing. The opening of the 10,000 race battlefield. At most, he could collect blood and let them recover from their previous injuries. Apart from that, there was no other way. The heavenly demon temple was a little regretful. "Killing demon gods is also possible, but it will take a little longer." Regarding this, the demon emperor did not reply. After the news that the human clan had conquered half of the Shadow clan's territory was sent back, Emperor Zhao immediately ordered the human clan experts to go to the Shadow clan's territory to build a city. To fight for the general trend of the world. It was not as simple as occupying territory in the 10,000 race battlefield. It was the same in the 4 major continents. The people who were ordered to go this time. They were the East City Lord Huizhan and the West City Lord. Because most of the experts of the Great Zhao were now in the 10,000 race battlefield, among the remaining experts, the 4 city lords were the strongest. Flying in the air. The West City Lord said with some confusion, "Why did His Majesty send the 2 of us to scout the way? Just send someone to the Qianyuan sacred ground to ask for 2 teleportation arrays and then throw one over to the Shadow clan." Moreover, the Shadow Clan also has a city. When the time comes, we can just take it over. Could it be that the Shadow Clan dares to go back on their word? The teleportation array of the Qianyuan sacred ground. It was now famous. It was just that the Qin Emperor did not make a move easily, so the teleportation array had always been a scarce resource. But if Emperor Zhao really asked, the Qin Emperor could not refuse. At this time, he could just send someone over and throw down a teleportation array. In the West City Lord's view, there was no need for them to do it personally. Huizhan said lightly. Although the Shadow Clan won't go back on their word, we can't guarantee that they will do something. Let's just go over there. Anyway, staying in the human clan's territory is going to make us go moldy. Speaking of this, it seems that you are about to break through to the Supreme Realm. The West City Lord turned his head to look at Huizhan and changed the topic. It's just a thin line. How can it be so easy to break through? Huizhan shook his head, looking emotional. Hearing this, the West City Lord had an envious look on his face. It's just a thin line. You and I entered the Imperial Court on the same day, but after so many years, you are about to break through to the Supreme Realm, but I am still in the 5th tier of the Celestial Being. Sometimes the gap between people really isn't that big. After saying this, the West City Lord heaved a heavy sigh. His talent was not weak, but it was not very strong either. Reaching the current realm was almost the limit. It was undoubtedly difficult to break through to the Supreme Realm. In comparison, Huizhan's strength was the most powerful among the 4 city lords. And so was his strength. This was why he was qualified to be the leader of the 4 city lords. Hearing this, Huizhan did not know what to say. In the end, he could only comfort him. Talent has never determined the height of a cultivator. If Brother Zhao concentrates on cultivation, there is hope for you to break through to the Supreme Realm. Brother Hu, you don't have to comfort me. The West City Lord shook his head and said with a wry smile, When this is over, I may resign from the position of West City Lord and enter the 10,000 clan battlefield to try my luck. You want to enter the 10,000 clan battlefield? Huizhan was shocked. The other party's words were completely beyond his expectations. The 10,000 clan battlefield is now a meat grinder. It hasn't been open for long, but the number of supreme beings who have died has reached double digits. The number of cultivators below the heavenly human realm is even more numerous. If Brother Zhao enters the 10,000 clan battlefield, I'm afraid the risk is too great. Huizhan advised. Entering the 10,000 clan battlefield. In his opinion, it was too risky. Although Huizhan was in charge of the human territory, he was always aware of the information in the 10,000 clan battlefield. During this period of time, he was also very clear about the great battle that had happened in the 10,000 clan battlefield. Because of this, Huizhan did not agree with the West City Lord entering the 10,000 clan battlefield. Although the 10,000 clan battlefield is dangerous, it also has great opportunities. At our level, if we want to break through, we need to cultivate in seclusion and look for that mysterious flash of inspiration. Or we need to go through a life-and-death battle and find the opportunity to break through. The West City Lord did not think much of it. He smiled and said, I have already made up my mind. Brother Hu, you don't have to persuade me anymore. He paused for a moment. Then he continued, Moreover, I don't have much lifespan left. If this continues, I may die in 1,000 years. Instead of dying, it's better to fight to the death. If I don't succeed, I will die. I believe that if Brother Hu reaches this stage, you will make the same choice. After that, the West City Lord smiled and said, Okay, let's not talk about this. Let's go to the Shadow Clan's territory first. Okay. Huizhan nodded slightly and did not talk too much about this issue. He could tell. The West City Lord had really made up his mind. In that case, Huizhan would not deliberately stop him too much. Everyone had their own path to walk. Since the other party had already made a decision, he could only respect his choice. Moreover, just as the West City Lord said, the 10,000 clan battlefield was dangerous, but it was also full of opportunities. If one could survive a long battle inside, the probability of breaking through was much higher than cultivating alone. Perhaps I should also enter the 10,000 clan battlefield. For no reason, a thought came to Huajian's mind. He was now only one step away from becoming a supreme being. But whether he could really break through still depended on probability. If he could enter the 10,000 clan battlefield, Huajian had absolute confidence that he could break through. Not long after, the two arrived at the Shadow Clan's territory. At this moment, in the Shadow Clan's territory, huge pits appeared one after another. That was where the Shadow Clan's city was originally located, but now the city had disappeared, so only a few huge pits were left. Seeing this, Huajian and the West City Lord looked at each other and saw the same expression in each other's eyes. As expected, the Shadow Clan did not intend to leave too many things for them. Then, Huajian said loudly, "We are cultivators of the human clan, and we are here to take over the Shadow Clan's territory under the orders of Emperor Zhao. I hope Emperor Zhao can make things convenient for us." As his voice fell, after a while, the void shattered. A finger drew across the Shadow Clan's territory and finally left a black silk line on the ground. Outside the black line belongs to the human clan, and inside the black line is the Shadow Clan's territory. The Shadow Emperor's indifferent voice came out and quickly disappeared. The two did not care. Huajian cupped his hands slightly and said with a faint smile, "Shadow Emperor is generous. I thank you on behalf of the human clan." Hearing this sentence, the void vibrated slightly, and a powerful aura was faintly discernible. Inside the Shadow Clan's secret realm, the Shadow Emperor's face was gloomy. Although he looked like a black shadow, now he was even darker. The Shadow Clan was defeated. Being forced to abandon half of their territory already made him feel very pained. Under such circumstances, Huajian provoked him with words, which made the Shadow Emperor even more furious. If it weren't for the two human emperors of the human clan, he would have attacked and directly killed Huajian. "Human clan! We are not done with this matter!" The Shadow Emperor suppressed the anger in his heart, but his eyes were frighteningly cold. After a long time, all of his anger and killing intent turned into a long sigh. The Shadow Emperor also felt a little weak now. The Shadow Clan set up the Shadow Canopy, which was equivalent to binding their hands and feet. The other clans could not attack, but the Shadow Clan could not leave either. Because the Shadow Canopy was an absolute defense. The people inside could not leave, and the people outside could not enter. So when the Shadow Canopy was set up, the Shadow Clan lost the possibility of advancing. Unless the Shadow Clan broke the Shadow Canopy. But in that case, the Shadow Clan did not have the strength to face the armies of the other clans. It could be said that the 10,000 clan battlefield had just opened, and the Shadow Clan had already been defeated. It was not a complete defeat, but it was close. Chapter 682. In the Sea. A huge ship braved the wind and waves, sailing on the surface of the sea. This was the 10,000 races battlefield. Normally speaking, there was no sea in the 10,000 races battlefield. But because this was the territory of the Water Eldar, there was a sea. Why haven't we seen the end after sailing in the sea for so long? On the spirit ship, Qin Yuanbai's expression was solemn. It started from the moment they entered the restriction set up by the Water Eldar. Then until now, 5 or 6 days had passed. With the speed of the spirit ship, 5 or 6 days was enough to cross hundreds of millions of miles. The entire 10,000 races battlefield was not hundreds of millions of miles. The small sea in front of them could not be bigger than the 10,000 races battlefield. But even so, the spirit ship still had not reached the end of the sea. Not only that, they could not even see the way they came from. Such a change not only made Qin Yuanbai and the others feel troubled, but even Xia Kun and the Golden Rock King did not look too good. Xia Kun said in a deep voice, "The sea of bitterness is boundless, there is no shore to turn back." King of Azure Billows, are you sure you can break out of here? That's right. If you are not sure, we might consider sending a message to the sacred city and ask Xiao Chimfeng to rescue them. The Golden Rock King added. Compared to the others, those who came out of the Heavenly Pattern Island knew more about the Sea of Bitterness. It was precisely because of this that they understood the power of the Sea of Bitterness. The Sea of Bitterness was boundless, there was no shore to turn back. There was once a true immortal trapped in the Sea of Bitterness. There was a true immortal who wandered in the Sea of Bitterness for 100,000 years. In the end, when his lifespan was exhausted, he did not reach the other side of the Sea of Bitterness. This matter. It made the Sea of Bitterness famous. Hearing this, King of Azure Billows said with a faint smile, "You don't have to worry. The spirit ship is my Eldar's treasure. Although the Sea of Bitterness in front of us looks powerful, it has not reached the point of besieging the spirit ship. The Water Eldar does not have a true immortal, and this is not the Sea of Bitterness formed by a true immortal. You may not have noticed, but the spirit ship could have walked out of the Sea of Bitterness long ago. It's just that the Water Eldar's experts interfered, causing us to keep going in circles in the Sea of Bitterness." King of Azure Billows' words made the others' expressions changed. Immediately, Holy Fire spread his divine will. After a long time, she finally noticed some clues. The King of Emerald Billows is right. There are indeed some traces of strong cultivators around, but these traces are too well hidden. If he hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't have noticed it. Qin Yuanbai immediately asked upon hearing Holy Fire's words. "Fire Sage, do you have a way to break it?" "There's no other way." Holy Fire shook his head, then explained. "The Vermilion Bird tribe is born with the fire element, while the Embittered Sea is born with the water element. Water and fire counter each other, and the Embittered Sea's water element is stronger than my own fire element. Unless I can cultivate the true innate divine fire, there is no way to counter it." Innate divine fire. It was one of the most powerful divine fires in the world. If he had a divine flame of this level, Holy Fire was confident that he could burn the entire Sea of Bitterness dry. King Bitao nodded and said, "Holy Fire is right. The connate divine fire at its peak might be able to restrain the embittered sea. But the Vermilion Bird tribe can't control the true connate divine fire without becoming a true immortal." Subsequently, he comforted them. "Actually, you don't have to worry too much. Although the Water Eldar's experts have intervened, they can't stop the spirit ship from sailing. At most, they can delay it for a while. You may not see it, but I can feel that the other side of the Sea of Bitterness is approaching. For the Eldar's supreme treasure." King Bitao had absolute confidence. Even though he had been in the Sea of Bitterness for several days, he had never shown any signs of panic. Golden Rock King secretly transmitted his voice. "Are you really sure? If not, don't try to be brave. If all the cultivators on the ship die in the Sea of Bitterness, either of us will have a good ending." To this, King Bitao rolled his eyes at Golden Rock King. Indeed, he was too lazy to explain so much. The Sea of Bitterness? Nyo Dali stood at the bow of the ship, looking at the vast sea in front of him with a puzzled expression. Qin Yuanbai, who was standing beside him, also noticed something strange. "Elder Nyo, do you know something about the Sea of Bitterness?" "Oh, I don't know much. I just feel that it sounds a little familiar." Nyo Dali didn't react. He touched his horns and smiled honestly. When King Bitao talked about the Sea of Bitterness, he felt that it sounded a little familiar. It seemed that he had some understanding of the Sea of Bitterness before. Nyo Dali thought back carefully but couldn't find any reason. Could it be that the bloodline in my body has interacted with the Sea of Bitterness before? No, it should have interacted with the Water Eldar. Nyo Dali thought of the bloodline in his body. As he entered the 10,000 clan battlefield, he found that more and more memories emerged in his mind. It felt like the memories in his bloodline were gradually recovering. When he killed Ga Dong, it also triggered the power of his bloodline. So, Nyo Dali was now very curious about his own situation. He also wanted to know what kind of bloodline flowed in his body. just as the spirit ship was sailing on the Sea of Bitterness. On the other side of the Sea of Bitterness, there were 2 Water Eldar experts standing there. They were the only 2 Water Eldar experts left. They were not only the 2 Water Eldar experts in the 10,000 tribe battlefield, but also the last 2 Water Eldar experts. In other words, except for Water Ling Huang, there were only 2 Water Eldar experts above the 7th level of the Celestial Being Realm left. The Sea of Bitterness can't stop them. According to this trend, they will walk out of the Sea of Bitterness in 2 days at most. Qinyue's face was solemn and her eyebrows were tightly knitted together. In order to set up the Sea of Bitterness, the loss of the Water Eldar was not ordinary. The Water Eldar was a race derived from the wisdom of the water spirits of heaven and earth. The Sea of Bitterness. It was a dangerous place formed by gathering the water spirits of heaven and earth. In other words, in order to form the Sea of Bitterness, many Water Eldar had to be sacrificed. The Sea of Bitterness in front of them was created. The Water Eldar had paid too much. If it could not be of any use, then the Water Eldar would have suffered a great loss. I don't know the origin of that ship, but it could safely cross the Sea of Bitterness. Without that ship, the human race would definitely not have the ability to cross the Sea of Bitterness. Is it possible for us to destroy that ship? Chen Zhou's expression was not too good. Now, only he and Qinghua were Water Eldar experts above the 7th level of the Celestial Being Realm. If the human race crossed the Sea of Bitterness, with the current strength of the Water Eldar, there was absolutely no possibility of resisting. But the problem now was, the Sea of Bitterness could not stop the human race. We can only try and see if there is a chance to swallow them up. Qinghua shook her head slightly. Then she used a technique to cause the Sea of Bitterness to ripple. Seeing this, Qin Zhou did not hesitate and also used a technique to merge into the Sea of Bitterness. Rumble, the sky of the Sea of Bitterness suddenly changed. Violent waves appeared on the calm surface of the sea. Shocking waves suddenly rose from the surface of the sea, covering the sky and the earth, wanting to completely drown the spirit ship. Oh no, the Water Eldar has launched an attack! King Emerald Billow's expression changed slightly, then he looked at Holy Fire and said, Holy Fire, please stop these waves. Don't let them drown the spirit ship! Among the people present, only Holy Fire, who was in the 8th level of the Celestial Being Realm, had the ability to do so. Okay. Holy Fire nodded, then immediately saw her vital essence surging. Vast divine fire soared into the sky, forming a shield that covered the entire spirit ship. Just as the fire shield rose, the waves had already crushed down. The two collided. A deafening sound was heard. Under the attack of the Sea of Bitterness, the fire shield shook violently, as if it would shatter at any time. Seeing this, Holy Fire's pretty face was also slightly pale. The power of the Sea of Bitterness was too strong, and she was only in the 8th level of the Celestial Being Realm. It was not easy to resist the attack of the Sea of Bitterness. I can't hold on for long. If you have any other tricks, use them quickly. Holy Fire's voice was a little urgent. At this time, she did not dare to force anything. Let me do it! Nyodali paused for a moment, then said. Hearing this, everyone's eyes fell on him. They were also very curious about this green ox who killed the Golden Eldar Dongshin. The situation in front of them. Holy Fire obviously could not hold on. The rest was to see if this green ox had the possibility of breaking the situation. Under the gaze of many people, Nyodali also felt a little smug, but he quickly collected his thoughts, looked at the waves that covered the spirit ship, and then closed his eyes. A moment later, he opened his eyes again, but the aura on his body had completely changed. Then, Nyodali threw out a simple punch, but it seemed to involve the power of heaven and earth, and a huge and endless phantom suddenly appeared, accompanied by the bombardment of the fist. The phantom also launched an attack. Boom! The waves that filled the sky were all torn apart by the fist, and the entire Sea of Bitterness shook violently. Outside the Sea of Bitterness, in the horrified eyes of Qingyu and Qingzhou, they only saw the vast sea of bitterness being hit by a terrifying force, and then it was torn into two halves. Not only that. A terrifying fist reflected in the eyes of the two. Be careful! Not good! Qin Yu and Qin Zhou's faces changed dramatically, and suddenly, a vast amount of vital energy erupted, bombarding the fist. Boom! The two collided, and the vital energy was instantly shattered. Finally, Qin Yu and Qin Zhou both flew out, and their bodies cracked a lot in the air, and after landing, they were already seriously injured. Such a turn of events. It alarmed the Water Eldar, and also completely shocked the people on the spirit ship. This, Qin Yuanbai's words became stuttering. The other people's faces were also dull. They only saw Niu Dali slowly retracting his fist, and the originally vast sea of bitterness had been completely torn apart. No one had expected. How could this azure bull be so tyrannical? As strong as the sea of bitterness. It was torn apart by the opponent's fist. However, after all, the sea of bitterness was a restriction set by the Water Eldar. As the power disappeared, the sea of bitterness also slowly healed. Seeing this scene, King of Azure Billows did not waste any time, and directly urged the spirit ship to break through the air, taking advantage of the crack in the sea of bitterness that had not completely healed, and rushed out first. Wherever the spirit ship passed, all the broken sea of bitterness and space were all suppressed. Not long after, the spirit ship had already appeared outside the sea of bitterness. And after crossing the sea of bitterness, it entered a piece of land, which was the Water Eldar's territory. At this moment, King of Azure Billows had already put away the spirit ship, and all the people on the spirit ship had officially stepped into the Water Eldar's territory. At the same time, the changes in the Sea of Bitterness and the damage to Qin Yu and Qin Zhou also shook the entire Water Eldar. After all, the Sea of Bitterness was a place that surrounded the entire Water Eldar's territory. Under such circumstances, the Sea of Bitterness being torn apart naturally could not be hidden from the eyes and ears of others. What's going on? What the hell happened? Several Water Eldar's celestial beings stepped out, and their faces were also full of shock. Soon, they saw a group of human cultivators appear. Not good, the human clan is invading, everyone prepare for battle. A Water Eldar's celestial being shouted directly, completely sounding the alarm. Immediately, all the cultivators in the Water Eldar did not have time to be shocked, and entered a state of battle. It was also at this moment. The two Water Eldar's powerful figures also recovered a little, and finally appeared in front of Qin Yuanbai and the others. Is the human clan really going to kill us all? Qin Yu's pretty face was gloomy. She did not expect the Sea of Bitterness to be broken so quickly. Thinking of the fist that tore the Sea of Bitterness, Qin Yu's heart also trembled slightly. Too strong. To be able to tear the Sea of Bitterness with one punch, even if he was not an emperor, he was not far away. Such a strong person. The Water Eldar had absolutely no chance of resisting. While talking, Qin Yu's gaze had already swept back and forth in the crowd. She wanted to find the strong person who tore the Sea of Bitterness. At last, Qin Yu's gaze fell on Niu Dali. She did not forget. The other party had once killed the Golden Eldar's God Dong, the only Golden Eldar's 9th-level celestial being. Among all the strong people, only Green Niu in front of her could break the Sea of Bitterness. Qin Yuanbai responded with a sneer. The 5 Elements Eldar joined forces to attack the Qianyuan sacred ground with the intention of destroying the Qianyuan sacred ground. It's just that the 5 Elements Eldar's strength was not enough, so they failed in the end. Now that the Qianyuan sacred ground is attacking the Water Eldar, we are just giving them a taste of their own medicine. As early as when we attacked the sacred ground, the Water Eldar should have thought of this result. Qin Yuanbai's words. This made the Water Eldar's heart sink again, but there was nothing to refute. Indeed, the winner takes all. This was the case. If the human clan had been defeated in the past, the Water Eldar would have also occupied the human clan's territory. Thinking of this, Qinzhou calmed his mind, then cupped his hands and said, "The human clan is powerful, and the Water Eldar admits that he is no match for them. If the human clan can be merciful, I, the Water Eldar, can become a vassal of the human clan." With the current strength of the Water Eldar, it was impossible to survive the disaster. In this way, the only path he could take was to submit to them. Indecisiveness would only lead to chaos. Qinzhou didn't need to think for too long to make a decision. As for Qin Yu and the other Water Eldar celestial beings, although their faces were ugly, they did not object. Obviously, they also knew that this was the only chance for the Water Eldar to survive the disaster. "Vassal?" Qin Yuanbai shook his head and said calmly, "The human clan does not need the Water Eldar to be a vassal. Today, the Water Eldar only has two chances. The first is to withdraw from the 10,000 clan battlefield, and the second is to be destroyed by us on the 10,000 clan battlefield. Apart from that, there is no third way. The human clan is really going to be so ruthless." Qinzhou's face was ugly, and there was anger rising in his eyes. This was equivalent to letting the Water Eldar completely give up the momentum of heaven and earth. Although it would not be to the extent of extermination. But in this world of great battles, the Water Eldar had to withdraw from the stage. When the great calamity of the demonic abyss arrived, perhaps the Water Eldar would be exterminated because of this. So, Qin Yuanbai's words were equivalent to sentencing the Water Eldar to death. The only difference was, the Water Spirit clan could still survive for a few more decades. Qin Yuanbai said, "I will only give you a quarter of an hour to think about whether you want to withdraw or fight to the death with the Qianyuan sacred ground. There is no need to say anything else. The Water Eldar's momentum of heaven and earth. It must be fought for." Now that the Water Eldar's strength had been greatly reduced, even if this race became a vassal of the Qianyuan sacred ground, it would not play much of a role. As strong as the Water Linghuang was, he was just a 10th level celestial being. In the current situation, he could not play any role at all. Qin Yuanbai was very clear about the current situation. The real purpose of the human clan. It was to fight for the momentum of heaven and earth. Secondly, it was to train troops. If he could persuade the Water Eldar to retreat, it would naturally be a good thing. It would prevent a lot of casualties. But if the Water Eldar resisted stubbornly, Qin Yuanbai would not be stingy with a fight. It was no big deal. All the Water Eldar cultivators would be destroyed. After all, if the Water Eldar was a vassal, the momentum of heaven and earth would still belong to the Water Eldar. It would not be inclined to the human clan at all. Qin Yuanbai's words made the hearts of all the Water Eldar cultivators sink. The soldiers were at the gate. There was nothing more than this. Qinzhou's face was twisted and he was struggling to make a decision. After a long time, he looked at Qin Yuanbai and said word by word, "Water Eldar, retreat!" After saying this sentence, Qinzhou seemed to have lost all his strength, and his aura was decadent. "Elder Qinzhou, you can't retreat! Once you retreat, I, the Water Eldar, will no longer have any room to maneuver." The Water Eldar celestials all spoke anxiously. "Shut up!" Qinzhou shouted coldly, then turned around and looked at the Water Eldar celestials. "Do you have the confidence to start a war with the human clan? Or do you want to bury all my clansmen of the Water Eldar to be satisfied? Those who are willing to fight, stay. Those who are not, follow me and retreat." Immediately after, Qinzhou looked at Qinyu again. "Qinyu, what do you think?" "Retreat!" Qinyu's red lips opened slightly, and finally said slowly. The only two supreme experts made a unanimous decision. The remaining Water Eldar people had nothing to say. Soon, the Water Eldar retreated one after another. In just half a day, there were no longer any clansmen in the Water Eldar's territory. It was also at this time a powerful emperor's shadow appeared in the sky. At this moment, all the cultivators raised their heads and looked at the largest emperor's shadow. "That's the Water Linghuang. The mark left by the Water Linghuang in the 10,000 races battlefield. How did it activate at this time?" Any cultivator with a little knowledge would not be unfamiliar with the water Ling Huang. After all, he was one of the emperors of the 10,000 races. Not counting the true immortals, he was also a top expert. At this time, the sudden appearance of the water Ling Huang's shadow naturally attracted everyone's curiosity. All of a sudden, the water Ling Huang's shadow turned into countless streams of light and shot out, disappearing into various places of the 10,000 races battlefield. At the same time, all of a sudden, a kind of understanding rose in everyone's hearts. The water Eldar had been defeated. Every time a clan completely withdrew from the 10,000 races battlefield, the power mark left behind by the clan's emperor would collapse, turning into treasures and scattered all over the 10,000 races battlefield, blessing other cultivators. After receiving this news, most of the cultivators had gone mad. Whether the water Eldar was defeated or not, it had nothing to do with them. What really mattered to them was the treasure left behind by the water Ling Huang. No matter what. The other party was also the emperor of a clan. Even a little bit of power was a rare treasure for ordinary cultivators. So, after this power was released, Yi Zichen looked at Yi Zichen. Many cultivators chased in the direction of the flowing light. I saw a flowing light appear there. It should be a treasure left behind by the water Ling Huang. Speaking of which, what kind of treasure can the water Ling Huang leave behind? Who knows, anyway, for a powerhouse of this level, anything left behind would be enough for us to eat. Lu Qinghong and a group of players rushed towards one of the locations. A treasure left behind by a 10th level celestial being. It was not something that other things could compare to. For the players, at present, the strongest was only at the spirit martial realm. Such strength, compared to the 10th level celestial being, was more than 100,000 miles away. However, the greater the gap. This proved that the things left behind by the water Ling Huang could be of greater use. It wasn't just the players. Even other cultivators, and even some celestial being cultivators, were ready to make a move. Those who could truly remain calm. Most likely, they were experts above the same realm. For experts of this level, unless it was a complete water Ling Huang's blood essence, it would still be of great use. But like now, a drop of water Ling Huang's blood essence was scattered in all directions, so it wouldn't be of much use. So, compared to the treasure formed by the water Ling Huang's blood essence, they were more concerned about the destruction of the water Eldar. The water Eldar was destroyed. Was it done by the humans? In the territory of the Wood Eldar, there were Wood Eldar experts who were extremely shocked. They were both 5 elements Eldar. The water Eldar was now completely beaten out of the 10,000 races battlefield. The Wood Eldar also felt this kind of threat. There were forces that could make the water Eldar completely withdraw from the 10,000 races battlefield. Then, they could also drive the Wood Eldar out of the 10,000 races battlefield. In this way, the Wood Eldar experts couldn't remain calm even if they wanted to. After a short period of shock, immediately some Wood Eldar experts left the 10,000 races battlefield, intending to report the news back to the Wood Ling Huang, and then thoroughly investigate the water Eldar's situation. The water Eldar was defeated! Tianhong's tone was also solemn. Then, he looked at the few beast saints and said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, the ones who attacked the water Eldar should be the humans." After saying that, a beast saint replied in disbelief, "The water Eldar has already set up a sea of bitterness around the territory. Without the help of an emperor, who can cross the sea of bitterness and enter the water Eldar's territory?" The water Eldar's sea of bitterness. It was one of the most powerful restrictions. Although it wasn't as terrifying as Qinhe, it wasn't weak either. Even now, it wasn't easy for the beast race to cross the water Eldar's sea of bitterness. However, even so, the water Eldar was still defeated. Such an unforeseen event naturally shocked the beast race experts. Tianhong said, "It's no longer important why the humans were able to cross the sea of bitterness. What's important is that the humans first occupied half of the Shadow Clan's territory, and now they've completely chased the water Eldar out of the 10,000 races battlefield. Currently, the humans have occupied a lot of the world's momentum. If we don't suppress them, it'll be much more difficult for our race to contend against them. Lord Tianhong, what are your plans? Send a message to the Blood Eldar. Now we must join forces to suppress the humans. Otherwise, if the humans continue to grow stronger, no other race in the 10,000 races battlefield will be able to contend against them. Tianhong's expression was indifferent. In the current situation, the humans were considered the most powerful force in the 10,000 races battlefield. If the 10,000 races alliance army hadn't collapsed because of Qin Shijian, the humans wouldn't have dominated. However, there were no ifs. It was an undeniable fact that the humans were powerful. Right now, they had to suppress the humans. Otherwise, if the humans were allowed to continue growing, it would be a huge problem. In the Water Eldar's territory, Qin Yuanbai said, immediately occupy all the cities. Ask the forgers who are traveling with the army to investigate carefully. Make sure that there are no traps left by the Water Eldar here. No problem. Ling Huayu nodded and then left with a group of forgers. Afterward, Qin Yuanbai said, Elder Fang, please open a portal to connect to the Qianyuan sacred ground. Okay. Fang Xinglan nodded. The Water Eldar's territory is surrounded by the Sea of Bitterness, which is a natural danger zone. In this way, we don't have to worry about other races sending troops to attack this place. Qin Yuanbai smiled. Because of the Sea of Bitterness, the Water Eldar's territory was easy to defend and difficult to attack. The humans occupied this place. They didn't have to worry about other forces attacking and robbing them. In this way, the humans didn't need to divide their forces to guard this place, which could save them a lot of trouble. This was a good thing. King Bitao nodded and said, Yes, it's not easy to cross the Sea of Bitterness. If the Water Eldar hadn't retreated just now and killed all of them to fill the Sea of Bitterness, then the power of the Sea of Bitterness would have become even more powerful. After he finished speaking, King Bitao found that the people around him were looking at him strangely. Qin Yuanbai and the others now looked at King Bitao again. He killed all the Water Eldar and then filled the Sea of Bitterness. They didn't realize it. It turned out that this fatty's heart was so ruthless. Why are you looking at me? Did I say something wrong? King Bitao didn't understand. After a while, only then did he react, and then his face darkened. Qin Shijian took a step inside and returned to the eastern continent in the next instant. In the Qianyuan sacred ground, he found Jingfang and the others. Emperor Qin! In the Myriad Clan battlefield, the Qianyuan sacred ground has already taken over the Water Eldar's territory. Ben Huang has set up an array in the Water Eldar's territory. You can go there immediately through the transmission array. Within a month, the city must be built and send people to occupy it. Completely occupy the world there, Qin Shijian said lightly. Hearing this, Jingfang cupped his hands and replied, Yes, Emperor Qin. Then, he immediately left. Since the establishment of the Qianyuan sacred ground, many of the original disciples of the Yuan sect were also sent to the sacred ground. However, if they wanted to build a city in the Water Eldar's territory, it was not enough to rely on the people of one sect. With the Qin Emperor's decree in hand, Jingfang directly mobilized most of the people in the Qianyuan sacred ground and went to the Water Eldar's territory together. 10 days passed. There was an infinite power of heaven and earth. Qin Shijian felt something. When he took out the heaven list, he saw that the human clan's fate had risen a lot. Not only that. At this moment, all the human clan cultivators seemed to have some kind of enlightenment in their hearts. Some bottlenecks that had troubled them for a long time. At this moment, all of them felt as if they had been enlightened. Soon, many cultivators broke through. In the Qianyuan sacred ground, there was a vision in the sky. There were powerhouses breaking through to the diviner realm. The power of heaven and earth! Qin Shijian whispered softly. For the first time, he felt the power of heaven and earth. Just now, the human clan's fate had risen greatly. He knew that Jingfang and the others had completely occupied the Water Eldar's territory. And with the rise of the human clan's fate, the power of heaven and earth also descended. Under the impact of this power of heaven and earth, even Qin Shujian himself seemed to have sensed something from the unseen world. However, this feeling was still very weak and not enough for him to break through his original realm. But there was one thing to know. Even with Qin Shujian's current foundation, he could understand it. For other cultivators, the feeling was bound to be even stronger. Godslayer said, "There is a saying that the one who has the power of heaven and earth will own the world. Every time there is a great battle, it is an opportunity for the creatures of heaven and earth. Any force that can seize the power of heaven and earth can also take advantage of this opportunity to rise. If the human clan can occupy all the power of heaven and earth, I can guarantee that within 10 years, a true immortal will be born in the human clan. A true immortal will be born in 10 years! Qin Shujian's expression froze. Godslayer's certainty surprised him a little. Yes, and it won't be as simple as a true immortal, Godslayer said in a deep voice. The power of heaven and earth is far more powerful than you think. Unfortunately, from ancient times until now, no one has been able to truly take all the power of heaven and earth for themselves. The ancient heavenly court couldn't do it, and neither could the ancient demon emperor. Whoever wants to take all the power of heaven and earth is bound to experience a tribulation. But this tribulation will be very terrible, so terrible that even a 9th-level immortal will be turned into ashes in the face of this tribulation. How much do you want to get? How much do you have to pay? Qin Shujian could understand Godslayer's words. However, he didn't care very much. At least so far, Qin Shujian hadn't thought of taking all the power of heaven and earth for himself. This time, after capturing the Water Eldar, the human clan should be able to give birth to a lot of celestial beings. He was already very satisfied with this result. What the Qianyuan's sacred ground lacked now was celestial beings. A plundering of the power of heaven and earth. With the birth of many celestial beings, Qin Shujian felt that this was a great thing. He could plunder the power of heaven and earth a few more times. He might be able to give birth to powerful experts. However, Neo Dali surprised me. He could easily kill a 9th-level celestial being at the 6th level of the celestial being realm. This kind of potential is a bit too strong. Qin Shujian thought of the message sent back from the 10,000 races battlefield. Senior, do you think that the bloodline of an upper 3 levels of true immortal can really do this? Hearing this, Godslayer said, in addition to the powerful bloodline, he also has the blood essence of the ancient demon emperor. Obtaining the blood essence of an upper 3 levels of true immortal is a great opportunity. It's not impossible for Neo Dali to become stronger because of this. In Godslayer's opinion, he couldn't see anything at the celestial being level. Unless, if the other party could grow to become a celestial being, then it was another matter. Emperor Qin, you should be very clear about the power of a 9th-level immortal. Xiao Qifeng is the reincarnation of immortal Lord Haozang. He's only a 7th-level celestial being now, but other than you, no emperor below the true immortal realm is his match. If he can break through to the 8th or 9th level of the celestial being realm, he can also become a celestial being. Chapter 683. Immortal Lord Haozang could do this. Neo Dali had a powerful bloodline and had obtained the blood essence of an ancient demon emperor. Although he couldn't be compared to the reincarnation of immortal Lord Haozang, he wasn't too bad. 6th level of the heaven-human realm. Killing a 9th level heaven-human realm. Although it was a little shocking. But when he thought of the other party's foundation, it made sense. Thinking about it this way, Qin Shujian was suddenly able to understand. At this moment, he also focused his attention on himself. When he broke through to the 8th level of the heaven-human realm, he consumed 2 trillion life source. Now, after such a period of recovery, his life source had gradually recovered a lot. Especially after the opening of the 10,000 clan battlefield. The growth rate of his life source was much faster than before. Originally, there was only about 100 billion life source in a month. Now that it was converted, it had reached 300 billion in a month. According to this trend, I will be able to break through to the 9th level of the heaven-human realm in about a year, Qin Shujian thought to himself. Once he broke through to the 9th level of the heaven-human realm, his strength would be able to sweep across the 4 great continents. In 3 years, Qin Shujian's goal was to break through to the 10th level of the heaven-human realm. At that time, he would have the confidence to sweep across the 4 great continents. I'll set a small goal to break through to the 10th level of the heaven-human realm within 3 years. My strength will be able to sweep across the lower 3 levels of the true immortal realm. It would be best if I could match the middle 3 levels. Qin Shujian silently set a goal for himself. When that time came, it wouldn't be as simple as sweeping across the 4 great continents. He would also make a trip to the outer realm. Speaking of which, I wonder if the powerful void demon in the outer realm is still there. Thinking of that powerful void demon, Qin Shujian's mind entered the core of the Qianyuan realm. Then, he observed the outside world through the core of the Qianyuan realm. Although Qin Shujian had no way to go out of the outer realm, but with the help of the Qianyuan realm, he could still sense the situation around him. After a long time, Qin Shujian withdrew his divine consciousness from the core of the world. Strange, why didn't I see a single void demon? Where did these damn things go? In the past, they surrounded the world. No matter how hard he tried to chase them away, he didn't see a single one of them. Such a change. This made Qin Shujian a little curious. However, he didn't care too much about it. It was a good thing that there were no more void devils in the outside world. It meant that those void devils had other things to do and were too lazy to keep an eye on this world for the time being. If that's the case, I can retrieve the God tribe's secret realm that was placed in the South Continent. Thinking of the God clan's secret realm, Qin Shujian also set off immediately. Southern Continent. Following the destruction of the God clan, the territories that originally belonged to the God clan were also divided up by other forces. Regarding this, the humans didn't say anything either. This was because the Protoss were located in the southern continent, and the humans were located in the eastern continent. If they wanted to occupy the Protoss territory, they would have to disperse the humans' strength. At that time, the 10,000 race battlefield had not been opened yet. It was too risky for humans to occupy the God race's territory. Therefore, it was normal for the God race's territory to be divided among other forces. However, Qin Shujian had hidden the God race's secret realm using some means. Even if the other races wanted to find them, they had no way to do so. However, even if he didn't hide it, the God race's secret realm was placed there, and no one dared to touch it. It was fine to occupy the territory. If they even touched the God race's secret realm, the humans would definitely not let it go. Therefore, when Qin Shujian arrived at the former God race's territory, this place had already been invaded by many forces. He ignored these cultivators and directly waved his hand to open the seal of the God race's secret realm. Immediately after, he forcefully grabbed the entire God race's secret realm. Rumble. The God race's secret realm was grabbed out, and the entire void shattered like a mirror. There was a huge vibration. It caused the cultivators in the God race's territory to be greatly shocked. Qin Huang of the human race! Qin Huang is here! Soon, some cultivators recognized the identity of the person in the void. The 2 words Qin Huang spread. Instantly, these cultivators were terrified. At this moment, a celestial rose into the air and bowed slightly. I wonder why Qin Huang is here. After saying that, he carefully raised his head and paid attention to the changes in Qin Shujian's expression. Strictly speaking, the God race's territory was conquered by this human emperor. He and the others. In a sense, they were equivalent to thieves. If Qin Huang wanted to pursue the matter and destroy them, the other forces would have nothing to say. Therefore, this small clan celestial was also quite nervous. He wanted to leave. But when he thought that his clansmen had already taken root here, once they started fighting, there would definitely be countless casualties. Therefore, this small clan's celestial suppressed the fear in his heart and came to test Qin Shijian's intentions. Qin Shijian said indifferently, "Dear thing, don't worry too much. Ben Huang is just here to take the God Race's secret realm." Then the God Race's territory, since the God Race's territory has been taken by you, it naturally belongs to you. However, if the Myriad Clan battlefield is taken back by the human race in the future, then it will be another matter. Qin Shijian's words. It made this small clan's celestial feel relieved. Then, he bowed solemnly to Qin Shijian. Qin Huang's righteousness, I will remember this matter in my heart. After saying that, this small clan's celestial cupped his hands again. Then, he returned to his original position. Qin Shijian glanced at him and shook his head slightly. Then, he focused his attention on the God Race's secret realm in front of him. The other party's intentions. How could Qin Shijian not know? They were just worried that he would attack and wipe out all the forces that occupied the God Race's territory. Now that the Myriad Clan battlefield was opened, all the grudges should be settled in the Myriad Clan battlefield. As for the 4 continents, they needed to be stable. This was also the main reason why Qin Shijian did not attack. After all, the Myriad Clan battlefield was opened by him. It would not be appropriate if he broke the rules himself. At this moment, as the God Race's secret realm was taken out, Qin Shijian made a seal with both hands. Layers of sealing power wrapped and compressed the entire God Race's secret realm. When the God Race's secret realm was separated from heaven and earth, an endless void was revealed from within. This void. Not the void within heaven and earth, but the void outside heaven and earth. The void outside heaven and earth appeared. It proved that there was a loophole in heaven and earth. Heaven and earth were slowly mending this hole at a speed visible to the naked eye. Qin Shijian stood in the void without moving. He was waiting for heaven and earth to completely heal before he dared to leave. Or else, if the void demons took this opportunity to sneak into heaven and earth, it would be a big problem. Half an hour later, the void of heaven and earth healed. Qin Shijian turned and left. In the void outside heaven, an infinitely large black shadow stood there quietly, motionless. It seemed like a breath had passed. It also seemed like thousands of years had passed. The black shadow trembled, and a puzzled voice came from it. Strange, why did I feel the aura of the upper-class world just now? Could it be that the heaven and earth barrier is broken? Thinking of this possibility, the black shadow surged, and 2 rays of light shot out from it. In an instant, they crossed hundreds of millions of miles and landed directly on the heaven and earth barrier. Along the way, there was a 10,000-foot-long beast crawling. However, the moment the light flashed, the 10,000-foot-long beast disintegrated, and its flesh and blood flowed in the void. Boom! The light fell outside the heaven and earth barrier, and there seemed to be a shocking explosion of power. It was just that this terrifying power was too strong. It did not cause the heaven and earth barrier to fluctuate in the slightest. The black shadow seriously glanced a few times, and finally slowly withdrew his gaze. No, the heaven and earth barrier is intact. Then where did the aura of the upper-class world come from? Could it be that I slept for too long, so I'm confused? Sigh, I'm so sleepy. A soft voice came from the black shadow. In the end, the voice gradually calmed down. He had existed for countless years. There were many things in heaven and earth that could no longer attract his attention. Only the upper-class world. It could still make the black shadow tremble. The moment the black shadow woke up and trembled, there was a floating continent in the void of heaven and earth. There were countless miniature black shadows there. And in the middle of the continent, it was a palace that seemed to be made of bones. In the center of the palace, there was a statue that was 1,000,000 feet tall. The statue's face could not be seen clearly, and even its body shape could not be seen clearly. It only seemed to be covered in endless black fog. And below the palace, there was a throne of bones. Among them, There were also several black shadows entrenched there. The Demon Emperor has awakened again. Since he fell into a deep sleep 1,000,000 years ago, the Demon Emperor has only awakened once, 200,000 years ago. Why has he awakened so frequently recently? Yelvis's low voice echoed in the palace. In the Mashaluo clan, there were now 3 demon emperors. Yelvis was one of them. The other 2 demon emperors. One was called Longfellow. The other was called Troy. Some time ago, there was a flaw in the heaven and earth barrier in the upper-class world. I suspect that a true immortal opened up a new small world. Yulun went to investigate the situation, but in the end, he died there. Troy said calmly. Do you remember that before Yulun died, there was also a riot in the demon abyss, and Zhu Bing's sky-breaking halberd appeared? I suspect that Yulun's death and the demon emperor's awakening are related to the sky-breaking halberd. At the mention of the sky-breaking halberd, the other 2 demon emperors' expressions were grave. Yelvis said in a deep voice, The sky-breaking halberd is Hao Tsung's Zhu Bing. In the past, Hao Tsung also came to our clan. Demon Emperor Ma Xiaoluo fell into a deep sleep after fighting with Hao Tsung. However, when Hao Tsung killed his way into the demon abyss, he had already died there. For the sky-breaking halberd to appear at this time, could it be that Hao Tsung has reincarnated and recultivated? Reincarnated and recultivated. This was not impossible. After all, it was not that easy to truly kill a true immortal who had reached the upper 3 grades. If it is really Hao Tsung's reincarnation, we must find a way to kill him, Longfellow said with a murderous intent. Hao Tsung is hostile to our void evil demon clan. 1,000,000 years ago, if Demon Emperor Ma Xiaoluo hadn't personally attacked, our clan would have been completely destroyed. Even so, there were still countless devil emperors who had fallen in his hands. If he reaches the peak again, he will definitely not let our clan go. As Longfellow spoke, black fog appeared. The void evil demons had a long lifespan. Almost all of the devil emperors had experienced that period of time in ancient times. 1,000,000 years ago. There were not only 3 demon emperors in the Ma Xiaoluo clan, but a total of 12. However, 9 of them. All of them had died in Hao Tsung's hands. The sky-breaking halberd has been stained with the blood of many of our clansmen. This hatred must be avenged. Yelvis's voice was cold. Let's spread the news that Hao Tsung wants to reincarnate and recultivate. The Ma Xiaoluo clan is not the only one who wants to kill him. The other clans also hate him to the core. Since that is the case, there is no reason for us to do the work ourselves. Hao Tsung was very powerful. Yelvis was not sure if Hao Tsung had left any powerful backup plan. Although he was not afraid of the reincarnated Hao Tsung. However, Yelvis did not intend to make a wedding dress for others. Hearing this, Longfellow said, Even if we join forces with the other clans, I'm afraid we can't deal with Hao Tsung. If there is no mistake in the Great Thousand World, we can't attack at all. However, if we don't break the barrier of the Great Thousand World, how can we kill Hao Tsung? The barrier of the Great Thousand World. It was the biggest obstacle to stopping the void demons. If there was no barrier between heaven and earth, the void demons would have invaded the Great Thousand World when the heavenly court collapsed. It would not have been 1,000,000 years. They had been staring at the Great Thousand World, but there was no way to enter it. We still need to ask the Demon Emperor about this matter, Troy said in a deep voice. All right. Yelvis nodded. The Demon Emperor has just woken up. He should not have officially fallen into a deep sleep yet. We can try to communicate with him. After making up his mind, he only saw that the black shadow on the throne of bones had already disappeared without him noticing. The outer realm was very big. It was many times bigger than the Great Thousand World. Any demon emperor. They had all cultivated for millions of years. Because of their huge bodies, they were all entrenched in the depths of the outer realm, silently absorbing the power of the outer realm to nourish themselves. Soon, Yelvis and the others came to the depths of the outer realm. Demon Emperor Yelvis of the Mo Xiaoluo clan, Troy Longfellow, requests to see Lord Mo Xiaoluo. Looking at the infinitely large black shadow in front of them, the three of them did not dare to be rude and bowed respectfully. Their voices were not loud, but they were accurately transmitted into the black shadow. 1 breath. 2 breaths. After a full half an hour, the black shadow suddenly trembled. The terrifying power caused the void to tremble violently. An abyss-like aura surged like a wave. In front of this power, even experts as strong as Devil Emperors felt their hearts tremble. The Demon Emperor has just fallen into a deep sleep. He should be awake now. Longfellow's voice was trembling. Even if he was already the Demon Emperor. Facing Emoshalloa, there was still a shadow of death. The Demon Emperor was in a deep sleep. No one had ever dared to disturb him. Tens of millions of years of sleep were enough to make the Demon Emperor delirious. In this way, if the other party went crazy, even the Demon Emperor could not escape. In the history of the Void Demons, it wasn't as if there had never been an unlucky Demon Emperor who had accidentally disturbed the sleeping Demon Emperor, only to be swallowed by the Demon Emperor in one gulp. If Emoshalloa had not woken up before. At this time, the Demon Emperors did not dare to disturb him. "It's you. What business do you have with this Emperor?" A slow voice came from the black shadow. After hearing this voice, the Demon Emperors breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that they could still talk. As long as they could talk, nothing else was a problem. Immediately, Yelvis said respectfully, "Demon Emperor, some time ago, the sky-breaking halberd came out of the demon abyss. We suspect that Hao Tsang has reincarnated, so we want to join forces with other clans to kill Hao Tsang. But this matter, we dare not make the decision casually. We are here to ask for your advice." "The sky-breaking halberd?" Emoshalloa recalled for a moment, then said, "This Emperor seems to have seen the sky-breaking halberd. So, it is indeed Hao Tsang reincarnated." After saying that, the black shadow was silent, as if thinking about something. Yerways and the other Demon Emperors stood there respectfully, not daring to move at all. After an unknown period of time, the black shadow retreated like a wave, and finally, a man in a black robe appeared there. Where the black-robed man stood, it seemed to be the source of the darkness. No weak light could enter it. As long as it touched the darkness, it would be completely swallowed. And the moment they saw the black-robed man, Yelvis and the other two bowed down. "Greetings, Demon Emperor! No need for formalities." Emoshalloa waved his hand casually, with a faint smile on his face. They only saw him reach into the void. Then, it was pulled out. Rumble. The void trembled, and the vast river of time was directly pulled out by Emoshalloa. "All of you come with me," Emoshalloa said calmly, then took a step forward, walking into the river of time. Hearing that, Yelvis and the others did not dare to hesitate. They instantly walked into the river of time. Experts who had reached the level of the Demon Emperor. Entering the river of time was never a problem. But this time, when entering the river of time, Yelvis found that the river of time in front of him was many times more vast than before. This scene, it made the three Demon Emperors' faces uncontrollably show a shocked look. Emoshalloa walked forward with his hands behind his back. No matter how many waves emerged in the river of time, he easily suppressed them. The river of time runs through the universe. Its existence records the traces of the existence of all creatures, and also records everything from nothing to something. Walking in front, Emoshalloa said slowly. Yelvis and the other Demon Emperors kept silent. They all knew that what Emoshalloa said at this time was actually a guide to them. Although the Demon Emperor and the Demon Emperor were only one level apart. In fact, there was no way to measure the gap. For millions of years, no less than hundreds of Demon Emperors were born, but there were only 4 Demon Emperors from beginning to end. There had never been a Demon Emperor. To be able to cross the original limit and break through to become a Demon Emperor. Because of this, the Demon Emperor had unparalleled prestige among the Void Fiends. There is a river of time in the great wide world, which records the past of the great wide world. There is also a river of time in the outer void, which records the past of the outer void. Even in the demon abyss, there is a river of time, which records everything in the demon abyss. All the river of time is separated, but also considered as one. Emoshalua stepped forward and waved his hand to extinguish a monstrous wave, splashing thousands of water droplets. Inside every water droplet, there were countless images flashing. Those images were the imprints that had been left in the river of time. The so-called destruction of an era is actually cutting off the river of time in a place. But in fact, there is a supreme river of time in the universe, which runs through the entire universe and records the root of everything. Everything recorded here is the real root, and no existence can cut it off. When you have the chance to reach the Demon Emperor realm, you can enter the river of time that covers the universe. Emoshalua said calmly. Hearing this, Troy looked at the river of time in front of him, took a deep breath and asked, Sir, what is the purpose of us entering the river of time in the universe? The river of time in the universe. This term was very strange to him. Not only him. Even the two demon emperors, Yerways and Longfellow, had not heard of it. So, Troy wanted to know, what was the purpose of Emoshalua entering here? There are only two ways to kill Hao Tsang. Emoshalua replied faintly. The first is to break the barrier between heaven and earth and directly kill Hao Tsang's reincarnation. The second is to kill his past in the river of time. As long as the only one in the past falls, then Hao Tsang's present will naturally fall. Kill the past. Hearing this sentence, their pupils violently shrank. Such a method. They had never heard of it. Can we really kill the past in the river of time and then change everything? Yerways felt his heart beating violently. He had always been. He thought that the past and future could not be changed. Even if he could walk into the river of time, he could only see some images at most. But now, Emoshalua's words had changed Yerways' view. If they could really kill the past, then there would be a big difference. After all, any expert would have a weak time. If they could kill the past, then any expert would be weak and pitiful. To this, Emoshalua did not reply. He walked in the river of time, and all the images inside flashed in it. The vast river of time. From time to time, there would be big waves. Emoshalua's eyes were calm, and he saw all the scenes that happened in his eyes. There were demons fighting in the demon abyss. There were also experts fighting in the great thousand world. In the outer realms, there were also the fights between the fiends and the beasts of the void. Everything. Nothing could be hidden from Emoshalua's eyes. Has the great thousand world become so weak? Emoshalua saw the images of the great thousand world, and there was a trace of waves in his eyes. In his memory, the great thousand world had always been very strong. There was the Emperor of Heaven, who made the demon emperors fearful, and there was also Hao Tsang, who could move unhindered in the outer void. There were also powerful ancient emperors, each of whom was not weaker than a demon emperor. It could be said that Emoshalua had never forgotten the strength of the great thousand world. When the great calamity of the demon abyss happened, although he knew that the great thousand world had suffered heavy losses, he did not think that it had been weakened to this extent. The lower three true immortals are the most powerful. No, it is only in recent years that true immortals have appeared. If we calculate for a period of time before that, it was just a mere heavenly man. What a weak world. It is a pity that there is no way to break the barrier of heaven and earth. Otherwise, I could take this opportunity to attack the great thousand world. Emoshalua thought in his heart. Attacking the great thousand world was the wish of all the demon emperors. Because only in the great thousand world could he find a way to break through the shackles. However, the barrier of heaven and earth blocked the footsteps of all the demon emperors. Thoughts turned in his mind. Emoshalua had already walked a long distance in the river of time. All of a sudden, there were waves in the river of time. He stopped in his tracks. When Emoshalua stopped, Yelvis and the others who were following behind him also stopped at the same time. In their line of sight, the river of time flowed in front of them, and images flashed in it. Emoshalua suddenly stretched out his hand. Mysterious fluctuations spread out, causing the entire river of time to tremble slightly. All of a sudden, countless water droplets rose. Images overlapped one after another. As time passed, more and more images overlapped, and the aura on Emoshalua's body became more and more powerful. Boom! Emoshalua's transformed body began to blur, and a monstrous black shadow covered the river of time. A terrifying power swept out in an instant. At this moment, the river of time also seemed to be enraged. A large number of waves rose. A demon emperor was accidentally contaminated by the waves, and his face suddenly changed. Retreat! Troy's face changed dramatically. The moment he was contaminated by the waves, he felt that his lifespan was declining at a terrifying speed. Although the lifespan of the void demon was very long, it was so long that there was almost no end to it. However, no matter how long one's lifespan was, there was still a limit. If the waves of the river of time were to rush over, even a demon emperor would have the risk of dying. Without Troy saying anything, Yelvis and Longfellow both sensed the threat of the river of time. Immediately, the three demon emperors directly withdrew from the river of time. Just at the moment of withdrawal, they saw the monstrous waves sweeping over, about to drown Emoshalua. In the outer space, Troy was still in shock. Will Lord Demon Emperor be all right? He recalled the fleeting glimpse he had just had. He had a fear of death. If that wave had been aimed at him, there would have been no chance for him to survive. Yelvis said, The Demon Emperor's strength is omnipotent, and the river of time can't do anything to him. Don't worry, it won't be long before the Demon Emperor comes out from inside. Longfellow nodded slightly. Regarding the Demon Emperor's strength, they were still very confident. If the Demon Emperor fell so easily, then the Void Demon would have been destroyed long ago. In the river of time, countless images gathered together. In the end, a drop of golden water droplet quietly floated there. Inside the golden water droplet, there was a portrait. That was in the Qian Yuan realm. The moment Xiao Chengfeng had just awakened his memory. Hao Tsang! Emoshalua whispered softly, and casually pointed at the golden water droplet. Terrifying power. It instantly wrapped the golden water droplet. Inside the water droplet, the sky of the Qian Yuan realm also instantly darkened. The whole world seemed to be swallowed up by everything. Only Xiao Chengfeng's heart surged with a great feeling of horror, and just happened to see a terrifying finger falling from the dark. Boom! A cold blade light tore through the dark sky. In an instant, Emoshalua's finger was cut off, and black blood dripped into the river of time, washed away by the river. At the same time, a man walked out of the golden water droplet, standing in front of Emoshalua with his hands behind his back, and the expression on his face was cold and indifferent. Emoshalua! Hao Tsang! Emoshalua's expression was normal. He slowly retracted his hand. The finger that had been cut off had already recovered to its original state. Looking at the man in front of him, Emoshalua said calmly, You have been dead for 1,000,000 years, and I didn't expect you to have a backup plan in the river of time, which surprised me. My means are not something you can understand. Hao Tseng's face was indifferent, and his eyes were full of disdain as he looked at Emoshalua. In the previous battle, if you hadn't escaped fast enough, the 4 great clans of the Void Demons would have become 3 great clans. After so many years, your courage has increased a bit. You actually dared to attack this sovereign's future in the long river of time. 1,000,000 years ago, I lost to you, and I didn't have a chance to avenge my shame. Since you left a backup plan in the river of time, it's good that I have a taste of it. Emoshalua's calm face was filled with killing intent. Hao Tsang said, I also want to see how much you have improved in the past 1,000,000 years. As soon as his words fell, the void cracked. A huge wave rose in the river of time. Hao Tsang pushed out his palm, and the abyss-like power raged in the river of time. Under this power, the golden water droplets separated and merged back into the river of time. Emo Shallowo's face was solemn, and endless shadows rose into the sky, as if turning into the source of darkness, wanting to devour Hao Tsung. Boom, outer space. There was an area covered by endless shadows. At this time, the shadow shook, and two eyes shot out from it, looking directly at the scene in the river of time. That's Emo Shallow! The moment he saw Emo Shallow, the shadow was stunned. Then, he saw the arrogant person who tore the endless shadows apart, and his mind shook violently. Heavenly Court Hao Tsung! Emo Shallow is fighting Hao Tsung. What happened? The awakened demon emperor was at a loss. After 1,000,000 years of sleep, he had forgotten a lot of things. Only a powerhouse of the same level could make him remember. At this moment, the other two demon emperors also woke up, and then looked at the river of time. On this day, all the sleeping demon emperors woke up. The Void Demon clan was shocked. All the Void Demons thought that the Void Demon clan would usher in a new peak. Inside the Emo Shallow clan, Yerways and the other demon emperors still stayed in place without moving. When the other demon emperors woke up, they also looked in the direction of the terrifying aura with a shocked expression. Another demon emperor woke up. It seems that the awakening of Demon Emperor Emo Shallow caused the other demon emperors to wake up. Troy took a deep breath. All the demon emperors woke up. This was a big deal. However, they couldn't care about anything else now, because Emo Shallow was still fighting in the river of time. Although they had great confidence in Emo Shallow, it was better to be safe than sorry. If anything happened to Emo Shallow in the river of time, the Emo Shallow clan's situation would become very difficult. A clan with an awakened demon emperor. It was a completely different concept from a clan without a demon emperor. After a long time, the void cracked, and Emo Shallow fell out of the river of time. Demon Emperor! Yerways and the others' faces changed greatly. In their sight, Emo Shallow's body was broken, and there were even more terrifying wounds on his body, almost splitting him into two. Then, it was the boundless energy that gathered from the outer space, helping him to heal his injuries. Emo Shallow's face was gloomy. Hao Tsung is worthy of being the top powerhouse of the Heavenly Court. I thought that after 1,000,000 years, breaking through to the peak of the Demon Emperor level was not much worse than him. But I didn't expect that just the means left in the river of time had already injured me. I'm afraid that when he was at his peak, he had already touched the realm above the rules. This battle, Emo Shallow knew that he had lost. Lost in the hands of Hao Tsung 1,000,000 years ago. Because the one who left the means in the river of time was Hao Tsung 1,000,000 years ago, and he was Emo Shallow 1,000,000 years later. Compared to Hao Tsung, he had 1,000,000 years more than the other party. But even so, he was still defeated. Such a result made Emo Shallow feel angry. Lord Demon Emperor, just now the great demon emperors woke up. What should our clan do next? Yerways did not dare to talk about Hao Tsung's matter, so he changed the topic. Emo Shallow said, the battle between me and Hao Tsung caused them to wake up. Since they woke up, it's good. I can go over and talk to them, and see how to deal with Hao Tsung's matter. You don't have to worry about other things, just maintain order in the clan. With that, Emo Shallow had already disappeared. Inside the 10,000 clan battlefield, Xiao Chengfeng suddenly stood rooted to the ground. A memory that should not have existed suddenly emerged. The dark sky. As if it could destroy the world. Immediately, Xiao Chengfeng came back to his senses and looked up at the sky. His eyes were cold. Emo Shallow, have you already noticed my reincarnation? That's why you wanted to kill me in the river of time. Unfortunately, you underestimated me too much and overestimated yourself. But what I didn't expect was that after 1,000,000 years, you're already a 9th level immortal. But even so, you're still a piece of trash. Xiao Qingfeng's heart was filled with killing intent. Reaching the 3rd level true immortal realm, it was not impossible to erase a person's past in the river of time, but it was very difficult to do so, and the price to pay was not small. Moreover, the stronger the existence, the harder it was to erase the past. because after growing to a certain level, one could see the past and the future. So, from the beginning, Mo Xiaoluo was destined to fail. Soon, Xiao Chengfeng calmed his mind. Now, the main thing he should do was to improve his strength as much as possible. In the Qian Yuan realm, Qin Shujian was also a little stunned. Just now, memories that were both unfamiliar and familiar surfaced in his mind. Chapter 684. Recalling the memory in his mind. Qin Shujian's expression gradually became solemn. His strange behavior. It was also detected by the god-slaying saber. "What's wrong?" The sudden voice made Qin Shujian come back to his senses. He did not hide anything from Godslayer's inquiry. "Senior, I suddenly have an extra memory in my mind. It's a memory about when Xiao Chengfeng first awakened. Do you know what's going on?" "An extra memory?" Godslayer's tone was a little puzzled. Obviously, Qin Shujian's words made him a little unable to react. "The memory in my mind about when Xiao Chengfeng first awakened is that there was an attack by an expert, but at the same time, there's another memory of when Xiao Chengfeng first awakened and nothing happened. The former suddenly appeared, and the latter was originally there." Qin Shujian gave a simple explanation based on his own situation. Hearing that, Godslayer fell silent. After a while, a voice slowly came out from his sea of consciousness. "If I'm not wrong, there should be an expert who entered the long river of time and then attacked the past. Only when the past has changed, there will be an extra memory in your mind." "An expert attacked the past?" Qin Shujian's expression changed dramatically. "Didn't they say that in the long river of time, the past and future have infinite possibilities, and that no one can change the past and future?" The past had infinite pasts. The future also had infinite pasts. In his understanding of the long river of time, the so-called change in history was just changing one of the possibilities, but in fact, it would not cause any impact. Godslayer said, "Your understanding is not wrong, but if there is an expert who can integrate the countless pasts together and make the infinite become limited, then there is a possibility of changing history. However, it was extremely difficult to achieve this. Even an ordinary true immortal in the upper 3 levels would not be able to do this. And to change the past, a huge change is required, and the probability of success is also very low." After a pause, Godslayer said, "Because it's worth sending a powerhouse who can change the past, then the person he wants to deal with is likely to be in existence of the same level. He could change the past, but experts of that level could also see the future. The past and the future might be very long, or it might just be an instant. Thus, once someone tries to change something, the being that is being changed will be able to see this scene at its peak and will naturally act to stop it." Hearing this, Qin Shuyan fell silent. Changing the past and even erasing the future. Such methods were not something he could understand at the moment. There was no reason for it. Qin Shujian suddenly felt a sense of crisis. "If someone tries to deal with my past and erase it, then won't I completely die?" "I won't," Godslayer said confidently. "Your future will be extremely powerful." "If someone tries to erase your past, then your future will try to stop them. Not many heroes would be obliterated by others in the past, because they would all become supreme experts in the future. Unless the person who erases them is really too powerful. But there's no need to do that. There's no need to erase the past at the moment when you can fight against the strongest in the future. You can just do it directly." In Godslayer's opinion, Qin Shujian would definitely be a top supreme expert in the future. After all, in his long years, he had never seen anyone with the potential of Qin Shujian. And he had never seen anyone. He could have the strength to kill 1 or 2 true immortals at the 8th level of the celestial being realm. More importantly, Godslayer was sure that Qin Shujian was in existence above the rules in his previous life. In this life, even if there was no way to return to the peak of his previous life, his achievements would definitely not be low. Therefore, Qin Shujian's worry, in his opinion, was completely unnecessary. There shouldn't be an expert in the world who can do this, but there may be such an expert in the future. What was the scene you saw at that time? Godslayer asked. When it came to such a level, there were too many uncertainties. Hearing that, Qin Shujian thought for a moment and said, What I saw was endless darkness, and then a finger crushed down from the sky. But I can feel that the target of that finger shouldn't be me. Then, Qin Shujian carefully described the scene at that time, as well as the details of the finger. After a long time, Godslayer's tone was solemn. Demon Emperor. You mean, the one who attacked was the Demon Emperor? That's right, Godslayer said. According to your description, the one who attacked should be the Demon Emperor of the Void Demons, but I don't know which Demon Emperor it is. But his target is not you, so it can only be Shao Chunfeng. His previous life, immortal Lord Haotsung, was the great enemy of the Void Demons. Many Demon Emperors fell in his hands, and it was rumored that there was even a Demon Emperor who fought with him. If the Void Demons noticed Haotsung's reincarnation, and then a Demon Emperor attacked him in the long river of time, wanting to erase his past, then it makes sense. Godslayer's explanation. Qin Shujian also agreed. After all, in the Qianyuan sacred ground, only he and Shao Chunfeng were worthy of this level of existence. But the other party's target was not him. It had to be Shao Chunfeng, Godslayer said. But among the Void Demons, there shouldn't be many Demon Emperors who can do this. I think instead of asking me about this matter, you should ask Shao Chunfeng. He is the person involved, so he should know better than you and me. Shao Chunfeng! Qin Shujian was stunned. He almost forgot to talk to Shao Chunfeng directly. After Godslayer's reminder, Qin Shujian immediately prepared to leave and go to the 10,000 clan battlefield to meet Shao Chunfeng. There was no other way. Some strong people wanted to erase the past and change the future. Qin Shujian couldn't be at ease with such a thing. Although according to Godslayer's words, he would be very strong in the future, and there wouldn't be any strong people who could do this. But no matter what, Qin Shujian had to figure out this matter. On the other side, in the 10,000 clan battlefield, under the impact of the momentum of heaven and earth, many strong people of the human clan also broke through. Qin Yuanbai's aura surged. Then, he directly announced that he would enter seclusion. Not only that, even Yin Banqing and the others directly entered seclusion. Those who were not affected by the momentum of heaven and earth. Only non-human cultivators could do that. For example, Fire Sage Nyodali, or Golden Rock King and Jade Wave King from Tiamen Island. With the momentum of heaven and earth, it would be easier to break through the realm. Unfortunately, we are not human and can't enjoy the benefits brought by the momentum of heaven and earth. Golden Rock King was a little jealous. He also wanted the momentum of heaven and earth. He also wanted to break through to a higher realm. For Golden Rock King, the fourth level of the celestial being was just a new starting point. After entering the Saint Realm, there were Almighties. After Almighties, there was Nirvana. After Nirvana, there was true Immortal. He still had a long way to go. But Golden Rock King could also understand. Cultivators who were not human had no possibility of sharing the momentum of heaven and earth. The momentum of heaven and earth. It was not a simple alliance or integration into the human clan. Only those who had the blood of the human clan flowing in their bodies were qualified to be blessed by the momentum of heaven and earth. Jade Wave King said, It's not worth regretting not being blessed by the momentum of heaven and earth. Now that there are so many strong people in the 10,000 clan battlefield, as long as we fight with them, we will have a chance to break through our original realm. Jade Wave King is right. Golden Rock King forced a smile. He could only calm down like this. All of a sudden, a powerful aura erupted from beside him. The few people who were talking were all stunned at this moment. They turned their heads stiffly to look at Nyodali, who was acting as if nothing had happened. There was disbelief in their eyes. Elder Nyo, have you broken through? Fire Sage asked in surprise. Nyodali's face revealed a simple and honest smile. I think I have broken through. Well, the 7th level of the celestial being realm. It's barely passable. The 7th level of the celestial being realm. Barely passable. Golden Rock King and Jade Wave King suddenly felt a little depressed. Especially Golden Rock King. He knew that the reason why Neodali could break through so quickly was all because of the inheritance of the demon clan. Regarding this, Golden Rock King's eyes were red with envy. If he had the inheritance of the demon clan, then he would be a powerful figure in the 7th level of the celestial being realm. No. It was not as simple as the 7th level of the celestial being realm. With his current foundation, Golden Rock King felt that he was at least in the 8th level of the celestial being realm, or even the 9th level. But what was done could not be undone. No matter how much he thought about it, it was just a thought. Golden Rock King had no other choice but to be envious. Elder Neo has broken through to the 7th level of the celestial being realm. Your strength should be almost on par with an emperor, Fire Sage said in a deep voice. I haven't really fought with an emperor, so I'm not sure. Neodali shook his head slightly. He did not have an accurate idea of his own strength now. Fire Sage said, You were able to kill a master in the 9th level of the celestial being realm when you were in the 6th level of the celestial being realm. Now that you have broken through to the 7th level of the celestial being realm, you are almost on par with an emperor. In this way, the Qianyuan sacred ground can be considered to have a top master in charge of a region. When Elder Qin and the others finish their closed-door cultivation, maybe we can directly attack and capture the Gold Eldar and the Wood Eldar. The Gold Eldar had the Gingjin Sword Realm. The Wood Eldar also had strong defensive means. It was different from the Bitter Sea. The Bitter Sea was traversed by spirit ships. The other two forbidden lands could only be broken through with tyrannical strength. Now Neodali had broken through. The human clan had the possibility of breaking through the defenses of the two races. Golden Rock King nodded. Yes, if we can capture the Gold Eldar and the Wood Eldar, the power of the Qianyuan sacred ground will definitely increase greatly. At that time, it will be much more difficult for the other clans to suppress us in the 10,000 clan battlefield. Capturing the Water Eldar had already brought them such great benefits. If they captured two more races, perhaps under the influence of the general trend of heaven and earth, the human clan would directly give birth to powerful figures. Although Golden Rock King was not a human, he was still a nominal elder of the Qianyuan sacred ground. To a certain extent, it could be said that he shared the honor and disgrace of the Qianyuan sacred ground. So, the prosperity of the sacred ground would also be of great benefit to him. In response to their words, Neodali stroked his horns and smiled, but he didn't reply. Somewhere in the 10,000 clan battlefield, a frost-like flower bloomed, and a crystal-clear drop of water quietly stayed in the center of the flower. A huge amount of heaven and earth spirit Qi gathered there. This made the drop of water exude a powerful aura. At this time, many cultivators gathered here, fighting and killing each other. The treasure of the water Ling Huang is mine. No one can snatch it from me. Bullshit, this treasure is mine. Whoever snatches it from me will die. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Take it with your own ability. Kill. The cultivators of the various clans were fighting in order to snatch the treasure left by the water Ling Huang. As the Water Eldar retreated from the 10,000 clan battlefield, the power left by the water Ling Huang had been completely dispersed and finally landed in various parts of the 10,000 clan battlefield. For this, many cultivators were looking for the treasures left by the water Ling Huang. Although the cultivators of the Saint Realm and above didn't care about the things left by the water Ling Huang. But for the ordinary diviner cultivators and those cultivators below the diviner level, the things left by the water Ling Huang were considered treasures. As a result, naturally, there were more people fighting for it. Boom! An arrow pierced through the air. A cultivator of the spirit martial realm didn't even have time to resist before he was directly shot in the air. Immediately after, another 3 arrows were fired, and another 3 cultivators fell. Such a change. Naturally, it caused many cultivators to be wary. Human! Where did this human cultivator come from? Is the bow in his hand a treasure? The divine martial realm. Some cultivators were afraid. After looking at each other, they joined forces to attack. If they wanted to snatch the treasure, they had to get rid of the most threatening one first. Zhang Erge smiled disdainfully. A bunch of useless people, how dare you attack me? Elder Qian, kill them! As soon as he finished speaking, the bowstring was drawn. Endless spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered. In the next moment, Zhang Erge released the bowstring from his fingers. The spiritual arrow instantly shot out. The arrow flew out and turned into countless arrows in the air. It directly engulfed the cultivators who had attacked. Boom! The spiritual arrow shot out and instantly caused all the cultivators' bodies to explode. In an instant, as many as dozens of cultivators died. At this point, the cultivators who had planned to attack couldn't help but stop at this time. They looked up at Zhang Erge with eyes full of horror. Among the cultivators present, many of them were in the divine martial realm. But even so, they felt the threat of death in front of Zhang Erge. The spiritual arrow condensed from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper, harvesting one life after another. These cultivators were able to see it. The bow of heaven and earth was an extremely powerful divine weapon. But no one knew. The bow of heaven and earth was not a simple divine weapon, but a five-sealed Dao artifact. A five-sealed Dao artifact. Coupled with Zhang Erge's cultivation, almost no one could compete with him except for a diviner. Ling Huang's treasure is mine. If anyone is not convinced, feel free to attack. Otherwise, get lost. Zhang Erge smiled proudly. Then, under everyone's angry gaze, he walked directly to the spiritual flower. Then, he reached out and plucked the entire spiritual flower, then put it into his storage ring. From beginning to end, no one tried to snatch it. Compared to the treasure, these cultivators valued their lives more. The purpose of entering the 10,000 clan battlefield was to experience killing and break through the original shackles. However, killing was also about balance. A one-sided crush would not be of any use at all, and they would lose their lives in vain. After doing all this, Zhang Erge glanced at them, then turned and left. After he completely left, a cultivator's eyes were cold as he said in a deep voice, "The human race is so arrogant. I want to see how a mere divine martial realm cultivator can run rampant in the 10,000 clan battlefield." He had made his decision. After this matter, he would immediately investigate Zhang Erge's identity, then ask the diviners in the clan to kill him. As for the reason for asking the diviners to help, it was very simple. The other party had an extremely powerful divine weapon in his hand. Just this reason alone. It was enough to tempt the diviners. Soon, the cultivators present turned and left. Since the treasure had been taken away, there was no need for the others to stay. On the other side, Zhang Erge found a secret place and set up a simple perception and shielding array around it. Qin Shujian was the #1 array Grand Master of the human race. The Qianyuan sacred ground was the holy land for cultivation in the world. As an elder of the Yuan sect, he naturally had some knowledge of arrays. Although he did not gain too much knowledge in arrays, it was not a problem to set up some simple arrays. After the array was set up, Zhang Erge took out his harvest from the storage ring. "Elder Qian, what do you think is the treasure of water Ling Huang?" Looking at the spiritual flower in front of him, Zhang Erge's eyes flashed with a puzzled look. With his clumsy knowledge, he didn't know much about the situation. Hearing this, the Qiankun Bao pondered for a while and said, "The spiritual flower is not important. It is just an embryo. The real treasure is the drop of water on the spiritual flower. As far as I know, the water Eldar is derived from the water spirit of heaven and earth, and water Ling Huang is one of the best among them. The treasure formed from his blood essence also contained a rich amount of water spiritual energy. If you swallow it, there is a high probability that you will be able to activate the water spirit body." During this time, The Qianquan Bao had also learned a lot about the various races. This was because he realized that his previous knowledge and experience were completely inadequate. He had already been abandoned once. There must not be a second time. Just like how one could not fall in the same place twice, the Qianquan Bao believed that he was also a Taoist artifact with aspirations. So, in order to play his role, the Qianquan Bao silently memorized all the information recorded in the Qianyuan sacred ground. Now, Zhang Erge only needed to ask. He did not need to think for too long to give an answer. Water spirit body! Zhang Erge was surprised. This was the first time he had heard of this name. The Qianquan Bao was speechless. You are really ignorant. There are all kinds of physiques in the world. Among them, the five-element spirit body is more famous and common. The water spirit body is one of them. If you can transform into a water spirit body, you can absorb the water spirit power between heaven and earth to cultivate. Moreover, as long as you have any kind of physique, your cultivation will be much faster than those who have no physique. To put it bluntly, the water spirit body is a way to improve one's aptitude. Such an explanation. Zhang Erge finally understood. So, if I transform into a water spirit body, my talent will be even more powerful. In theory, the Qianquan Bao said. In theory? There are strong and weak water spirit bodies. A weak water spirit body may not increase your talent much, but if your water spirit body is strong, your talent will naturally become stronger. The Qianquan Bao explained. Zhang Erge nodded. Then he looked at the water droplet in front of him, his eyes full of enthusiasm. Do I just need to swallow it? Do I need to prepare anything? There's no need for that. It's not the complete essence blood of the water spirit emperor. It's a treasure that has been diluted many times. With your current cultivation level, you should be able to handle it. The Qianquan Bao comforted him. Hearing that, Zhang Erge did not hesitate. He immediately wrapped the water droplet with his true essence and swallowed it. He lost the water droplet. The spiritual flower also withered instantly. Not long after, it had turned into dust and dissipated. The water droplet fell into his stomach. A powerful force rose from his body. This force was both powerful and extremely gentle. It nourished Zhang Erge's body and slowly changed this feeling. He could not help but let out a comfortable moan. The Qianquan Bao said faintly, I say, can you stop making these strange sounds and cultivate properly? Do you know that every time you make a sound, there will be water spirit power overflowing? Hearing that, Zhang Erge immediately shut his mouth. The water spirit power could not be wasted. A day passed. During this time, some cultivators passed by. But because of the shielding formation, no one noticed that there were other cultivators silently cultivating nearby. Time passed. The water spirit power was completely digested. Zhang Erge's body shook slightly, and the aura on his body suddenly became stronger. The third level of the divine martial realm. Originally, when he attacked and occupied the Eldar of Water, under the power of heaven and earth, he had already broken through to the second level of the divine martial realm. Now that he was refining the treasure of the water Linghuang, he officially broke through to the third level of the divine martial realm. In a short period of time. After breaking through 2 levels in a row, Zhang Erge's mood was also very good. Feeling the changes in his body and everything around him, he discovered, when he was absorbing the spirit energy of heaven and earth, there was another gentle force gathering in the dark. This force, Zhang Erge soon knew its origin. The water spirit of heaven and earth. Is this the water spirit body? Simply inhaling and exhaling the spirit energy, he knew that his cultivation was a bit faster than before. The Bao of heaven and earth said, Now you only have the initial water spirit body. If you want to reach a more perfect level, you need to collect more treasures left behind by the water Linghuang. When your water spirit body transforms to a certain level, maybe you can ask the Qin Emperor to help you find a drop of the real water Linghuang's blood essence. When that time comes, your water spirit body is the real powerful one. The real water Linghuang's blood essence. Zhang Ergu's heart was a bit hot. Soon, the bow of heaven and earth poured cold water on him again. But with your current strength, even if I give you the water Ling Huang's blood essence, you won't have the chance to refine the blood essence of such a strong person before you break through to the celestial being realm. The third level of the divine martial realm is pitifully weak. Cultivate well. Don't be killed by a passing celestial being before you become stronger. It doesn't matter if you die, but if the Qin Emperor blames me, then I am too innocent. Old Xian, if you don't know how to speak, then don't say any more. Zhang Ergu's face turned black. The joy of breaking through just now was also gone at this time. However, he also kept the bow of heaven and earth's words in mind. If he wanted to become stronger, there was a shortcut at the moment. That was to collect enough water Ling Huang's treasures and then increase his realm. Unfortunately, the Red Lotus of Purgation doesn't allow me to use it. Otherwise, I can give it a try. Maybe my realm will increase faster. Zhang Erge thought of the Red Lotus of Purgation that he had been cultivating bitterly, and then shook his head. The Red Lotus of Purgation didn't allow him to use it. This was the order of Qin Shujian. He could only cultivate now, but he couldn't show it in front of others. To this, Zhang Erge didn't dare to disobey this order. He also wanted to know if one day he could use the Red Lotus of Delusion that he had painstakingly cultivated, what kind of power would it have? Just as Zhang Erge went to the second place to look for treasures inside the sacred city. It was also the first time Qin Shujian set foot in it. According to the rules and the oath, emperors and genuine immortals couldn't fight on the 10,000 tribes battlefield. However, Qin Shujian only came to the 10,000 tribes battlefield this time, and never planned to fight. In this way, it wasn't a violation of the oath. Inside the governor's mansion, the moment Qin Shujian walked in, Xiao Chengfeng also felt that something was amiss. When he looked up, he saw the person who came in. The Qin Emperor is here. Brother Xiao. Qin Shujian nodded and then sat down opposite him. Looking at Xiao Chengfeng in front of him, Qin Shujian said, Brother Xiao, you should know the purpose of Benhuang's visit this time. The Qin Emperor is here for Mo Xiaoluo? Mo Xiaoluo? Qin Shujian was stunned. He didn't completely come back to his senses. Xiao Chengfeng smiled faintly. Mo Xiaoluo is one of the 4 great demon emperors of the void. He also attacked in the past and wanted to kill me. This time, the Qin Emperor should have come here to change the past. Now I'll tell you the answer. The person who attacked is Mo Xiaoluo, the demon emperor of the Mo Xiaoluo clan. There was no need for Qin Shujian to ask too much. Xiao Chengfeng told him everything that had happened. Hearing this, Qin Shujian took a deep look at him and said, Brother Xiao really knows everything. However, Benhuang is very curious about why Mo Xiaoluo attacked you. And why did he fail again? Did your future stop him? To this, Xiao Chengfeng was silent for a moment, then stretched out 2 fingers. The Qin Emperor's question, I can give 2 answers. I had a lot of grievances with the void demons in my previous life. Mo Xiaoluo should have noticed my reincarnation, but he couldn't break the barrier of heaven and earth. So he attacked in the river of time, trying to erase my past. As for the reason for his failure, it's very simple. Although I died in my previous life, I was still a powerful person who could see the past and the future. The one who intercepted Mo Xiaoluo was me 1,000,000 years ago. Xiao Chengfeng said with a faint smile. Mo Xiaoluo attacked in the present 1,000,000 years later, trying to erase his past. And the immortal Hao Tseng 1,000,000 years ago noticed this, so he intercepted him 1,000,000 years later. Although it was a bit unreasonable to say this. However, Qin Shujian believed it in his heart. But what really made him curious was why the one who attacked was the immortal Hao Tseng 1,000,000 years ago, and not the future Xiao Chengfeng. It couldn't be. The future Xiao Chengfeng was not as powerful as the immortal Hao Tseng 1,000,000 years ago. If that was the case, then what was the point of his reincarnation? Seeing Qin Shujian's expression, Xiao Chengfeng seemed to understand what the other party was thinking. There's one thing that you may not know, I have no future. No future? Qin Shijian's expression changed. What do you mean? No future. How could a person have no future? Xiao Chengfeng said. The river of time records the living beings between heaven and earth. Strictly speaking, it records the living beings under the rules. That is to say, once you transcend the rules, you won't leave a mark in the river of time. I reincarnated to cultivate again, and I want to walk the path above the rules. So, there's no image of me in the future, I only exist in the present. If one day in the river of time, I lose the future me and the present me, then I can become the existence above the rules. Speaking of this, he also looked at Qin Shijian meaningfully, and said calmly, You should know this better than me. You also walk the same path, so I believe you have no future. You don't even have a past, only the present you is the only one that exists. On this path, you've walked further than me. If one day you can take your present body out of the river of time, then you will become the existence above the rules. Xiao Chengfeng's words made Qin Shijian fall into shock. There was no future. There was no past. He didn't know these things at all. Brother Xiao, how can you be so sure that Ben Wan has no past or future? It's very simple, because I've seen it. Xiao Chengfeng replied. Hearing this, Qin Shijian's heart trembled again. He understood the meaning of Xiao Chengfeng's words. Xiao Chengfeng must have seen his past and future in the river of time, so he concluded that he didn't have a past or a future. Thinking of this, Qin Shijian asked in a deep voice. Ben Wan wants to know, how can I enter the river of time? The river of time and the mother stream of rules have the same origin. It exists in every corner, but it doesn't exist in any place. You must sense the existence of time to be able to enter here. If I was in my prime, I could take you on a trip to the river of time. But I can't do it now. Xiao Chengfeng shook his head calmly. Now, he could only take a trip to the river of time for fun. And if he wasn't careful, he might fall into it. Not to mention that he couldn't take anyone. Even if he could, Xiao Chengfeng wouldn't dare to act recklessly. If he fell into it, then the joke would be too big. Speaking of this, Xiao Chengfeng warned again. There are many dangers in the river of time. If you have the chance to enter there, remember not to let the river water touch you. Otherwise, your time will be swallowed by the river. Maybe a simple drop of river water can make you lose a few years of life. It's possible that you will be washed away by the waves, or even pass away directly. The dangers of the mother stream of rules won't kill you completely, but if you're not careful in the river of time, you will really die there. The word time. It was too mysterious and unpredictable, and it was the lifeline that controlled all living things. As strong as a level 9 deity. There was no way to break free from the restraints of time. Therefore, as long as a strong cultivator didn't break free from the river of time, he might encounter fatal danger there. It was just a matter of probability. Qin Shijian nodded slightly. Brother Xiao, don't worry. Ben Huan has his own plans. Then, he stood up and said, Now that I understand the situation here, Ben Huan won't stay any longer. Goodbye. After speaking, Qin Shijian didn't wait for Xiao Chengfeng to speak, and had already disappeared from the city lord's mansion. He wanted to go back and comprehend time. Because Qin Shijian planned to enter the river of time and take a look himself. To see if he really didn't have a past and a future. Xiao Chengfeng opened his mouth. After thinking about it, he realized that there was no need to say it. If you lose your past and future, then if you die in the present, you will really die. However, even if there is a past and a future, dying in the present is almost the same as dying. Who can fish out a fallen strong cultivator in the past and future? Xiao Chengfeng shook his head. Thinking about it this way. Whether the past and future exists or not, it doesn't matter. In the void outside the domain, in an area covered by black shadows, a black-robed man suddenly appeared. Amo Shello, why are you here? There was a buzzing sound coming from the black shadows. Emo Xiaola heard this and said calmly, Baido, Hao Tsang has reincarnated. You should have seen the battle between me and him in the River of Time. I saw it. Baido said in a deep voice. I didn't expect you to have reached the level of a top demon emperor, and I didn't expect Hao Tsang to be so strong. After millions of years, he could still defeat you. If he didn't die, even if you broke through now, you wouldn't be his opponent. To this, Emo Xiaola sneered. Even if he didn't die in the demon abyss, he wouldn't have many years to live. The human race is not us void demons. A true immortal's lifespan is only a mere 120,000 years, which is pitifully short. No matter how powerful his glory is, it's just a flash in the pan. How can it compare to an existence like you and me? Millions of years. Not to mention one Hao Tsang, even if there were 5 or 6 Hao Tsangs, they would have to die. Unless the other party had the hope of becoming above the rules. Maybe. Baido said lightly. You came here this time, what's the matter? Hao Tsang's reincarnation is not a good thing for you and me. I want to find an opportunity to destroy Hao Tsang's reincarnation. Only in this way can we really be done once and for all. Emo Xiaola said bluntly. Destroy Hao Tsang's reincarnation. He exists in the vast 1,000 domains. I'm afraid we won't have the chance to do anything. I naturally know that the heavenly barrier is difficult to break, but... Emo Xiaola smiled meaningfully, looked at the black shadow in front of him, and said calmly, If this emperor remembers correctly, your Baido clan left a backup plan in the greater 1,000 world more than 1,000,000 years ago, right? P.S. Support the original version, Chidian Chinese networks. I am decent. Chapter 685. I don't quite understand what you're saying, Baido said calmly. Why do you have to hide it? Emo Xiaola smiled and said with his hands behind his back. You and I should be clear about what happened back then, although I don't know where the Baido clan's backup plan is. I'm sure that the backup plan is still in the vast 1,000 domains. Don't hesitate. If we really wait until Hao Tsang rises again, the Void Demon clan will not have an easy time. The shadow in front of him floated. No one knew what he was thinking. A moment later, Bahido's voice slowly came out. The Demon Abyss is approaching the vast 1,000 domains. Soon, the Demon Abyss will officially merge with the vast 1,000 domains. With the current strength of the vast 1,000 domains, it is impossible to resist the Demon Abyss. Even if Hao Tsang reincarnates, he will only die in the face of the Demon Abyss. Why are you in such a hurry? As a demon emperor, Baido could see many things. Hearing this, Emo Xiaola said calmly, With the arrival of the Demon Abyss, the destruction of the vast 1,000 domains is certain. However, if we surrender the vast 1,000 domains to the Demon Abyss, it may not be a good thing for you and me. Have you forgotten the rumor? Only by conquering the vast 1,000 domains can we have a chance to break this shackle. The sacred demon is only a rumor. Baido replied faintly. For hundreds of millions of years, many demon emperors have been born, but I have never seen a sacred demon. I thought that this realm did not exist. How can it not exist? Since the rumor of the sacred demon can spread, it must have existed. Emo Xiaolu's expression gradually became fanatical. In his heart, the sacred demon was his only pursuit. The vast 1,000 domains pursue the rules, and we void demons pursue the sacred demon realm. 1,000,000 years ago, the Emperor of Heaven had already stepped into that realm. Perhaps even Hao Tsang had once touched that level. Since the rules exist, then the sacred demon realm must exist. Although we are demon emperors and enjoy millions of years of lifespan, so what? Emo Xiaolu's words were fierce. If we don't break through the sacred demon realm, you and I will eventually turn into dust under the erosion of time. Moreover, if the Demon Abyss conquers the vast 1,000 domains, they will never give up on exploring the void. At that time, sooner or later, we will face a difficult choice. For Maxiaro, the best way to do this was to be able to attack the Great 1,000 World before the demonic abyss reached it. Baido said. If the demons can't leave the demonic abyss, they might not be a threat to us. The demons may not be able to leave the demon abyss now, but that doesn't mean that they won't be able to leave the demon abyss in the future. Bach, are you willing to hand your life over to fate? Maxialios sneered. After he finished speaking, his eyes darkened. Or are you planning to keep that trump card for yourself? No matter what, you and I are of the same race. There are some things that are better discussed. You should know that if I really want to find the truth, I can also find it in the river of time. It's just a matter of time. If the Bardo clan is determined to take all the benefits for themselves, then don't blame me for being ruthless. There's a saying in the Great Thousand Realms, it's better to die in glory than to live in dishonor. I think it's very well said. You're threatening me. Bardo's voice turned cold. In an instant, the atmosphere in the void froze. The faintly discernible aura emitted from the two demon emperors raged in the void as if the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Any ferocious void beasts and weak void demons that got close. At this moment, in front of this aura, they were quietly turned into dust. Baido, why are you so angry? Emoshialoa was just joking with you. A hearty voice rang out, and a person suddenly appeared in the frozen void. Following his appearance, another person appeared almost at the same time. The two of them appeared. In an instant, the tense situation collapsed. Boil, Yizo, Baido said coldly. It seems that you've joined forces with Maxiaro. If I didn't say anything, were you going to join forces to kill me? At this moment, Bahido's expression was solemn. The four demon emperors were all present. Although there were some differences in the strength of each demon emperor, the differences were not too great. He had the confidence to deal with Maxiaro, but he did not have the confidence to deal with three demon emperors at the same time. Hearing this, Boyle smiled faintly. Don't think too much. It's just that the matter of the vast thousand domains is extremely important. That's why I was invited here. Maxiaro is right. The void demons are one. The so-called division of clans can't change anything. Since your Baido clan has a backup plan, you can just take it out. If we can conquer the vast thousand domains, we might really have a chance to see the sacred demon realm. Even if we can't break through to the sacred demon realm, it's good for us to annex the vast thousand domains. I want half of the vast thousand domains' origin, Baido said in a deep voice. As soon as he finished speaking, the expressions of Maxiaro and the others suddenly became solemn. Yizo said, half of the origin is too much. I suggest we divide it equally. At least 40%. If it's less than 40%, then there's no need. I also want to see if you really have the ability to destroy my Baido clan. Baido sneered. He had no intention of giving in. Even if you destroy my Baido clan, I'm confident that you won't be able to get away with it. Don't forget that the backup plan belongs to my Baido clan. Asking for 40% of the origin of heaven and earth is already a big concession. Hearing this, the demon emperors did not immediately reply. Instead, they simply looked at each other. After a long while, Maxiaro nodded slightly. 40% of the origin of heaven and earth of the vast thousand domains belongs to the Baido clan. The remaining 60% will be divided equally between the three of us. However, we must enter the vast thousand domains within 10 years. I've already seen in the long river of time that in the future, the vast thousand domains will have more and more powerhouses born. If a true immortal of the upper three tiers is born, it won't be easy to deal with them. A true immortal of the upper three tiers. That was a demon emperor level powerhouse. Such an existence. Any one of them would be difficult to deal with. Moreover, once the vast thousand domains had a true immortal of the upper three tiers, there might be some mistakes in the preparations of the void demons to attack the vast thousand domains. Therefore, in Maxiaro's opinion, they had to conquer the vast thousand domains as soon as possible. Baido said in a deep voice, I can't guarantee it within 10 years. If you want to open the barrier of heaven and earth, you must be strong enough. I can only say that it's as soon as possible. As for other promises, I can't promise you. No matter what, it's better to do it as soon as possible. Maxiaro shook his head. The lifespan of the creatures of the vast thousand domains is not long, but their talent is extremely terrifying. Although only a true immortal of the lower three tiers has been born. However, as long as they are given a chance, it won't take too long for a true immortal of the upper three tiers to be born. When I entered the long river of time in the universe, I also saw an image of countless futures. The vast thousand domains is a problem after all. In the Qian Yuan realm. Through the method that Xiao Chifeng had mentioned, Qin Shujian had been comprehending the existence of time. He discovered that if he could enter the long river of time at will, he would have a great advantage. Others could see images of the past and future, and know a lot of things in advance. Although this kind of foresight of the past and future might not be a good thing. However, in Qin Shujian's opinion. However, it could still be considered a powerful method. However, after all, comprehending time was not an easy task. Qin Shujian sat in the courtyard for half a month, but there was no progress. And beside him, the God-Slayer was sitting. What exactly do I need to do to comprehend time? Qin Shujian was a little discouraged. He turned his head to look at the God-Slayer beside him, wanting to seek an answer. The God-Slayer pondered for a moment, then said, "How do I explain the existence of time? This kind of thing is a little complicated to explain. Anyway, those who understand it understand it. If you don't understand it, it's useless to say it. However, if you can prove your Tao and become an immortal, then you can enter the long river of time. With your talent, you don't have to be in a hurry." After a few days, when you really step into the true immortal realm, then you will naturally understand. Hearing this, Qin Shujian had a strange expression on his face. These words were equivalent to not saying anything. However, he did not dwell too much on this matter. Since he could naturally enter the long river of time after breaking through to the true immortal realm, then there was no need to be in a hurry. Anyway, with his current state, Qin Shujian was confident that he could become an immortal within 10 years. Then let's wait and see. However, since the Demon Emperor attacked Xiao Chifeng, does that mean that there is already a Demon Emperor who has his attention on this world? Since he failed to attack in the past, then is it possible that he directly attacked and killed Xiao Chifeng by force? Qin Shujian thought of a possibility. Judging from what happened, the Demon Emperor of the Void was determined to kill Xiao Chifeng. Or else, there would not be a Demon Emperor who would take such a huge risk to directly kill him in the long river of time. The God-Slayer said, "This is very likely. However, as long as the barrier between heaven and earth is intact, the Demon Emperor of the Void will not be able to enter this world. Otherwise, the Demon Emperor would not attack in the long river of time. The most fundamental reason is that such an existence cannot break the barrier between heaven and earth. From the God-Slayer's point of view, the Demon Emperor's attack reflected one thing. That was, the Demon Emperor of the Void could not break the barrier between heaven and earth. Otherwise, he would not have spent so much effort to attack Xiao Chifeng in the past. This way, the stability of the barrier between heaven and earth was guaranteed. Speaking of which, the God-Slayer paused. As long as the barrier between heaven and earth is intact, then there will be no problem. However, if there is a flaw, then it is hard to say. Qin Shujian nodded. As long as the Demon Emperor of the Void could not break the barrier between heaven and earth, then everything else would be fine. As for the flaw in the barrier between heaven and earth, now, the only thing that could cause such a situation was that there was a problem with the small worlds outside of heaven and earth. However, as long as there was not a battle to the death, there would not be any changes in the secret realms of the various clans. If that was the case, the possibility of a flaw was not high. Emperor Qin, there is a cultivator in the human territory who wishes to see you. At this time, Jingfang suddenly walked over. Who is it? Qin Shujian looked a little confused. He did not have many friends in the 4 major continents. Among the cultivators of the other clans, the only ones who could talk to him were probably the emperors of the various clans. Could it be? An emperor came to see him? Xingfang replied respectfully. It is Black Crow Taoist who wishes to see Emperor Qin. Black Crow Taoist! Qin Shujian quickly remembered who the other party was. Black Crow Taoist priest's strength was not weak among all the powerful beings he knew. After thinking for a while, Qin Shujian looked at Xingfang and said, "Let him come to the East Continent. Ben Huang will wait for him in the Qianyuan realm." "Yes, Emperor." Xingfang bowed and left. Afterward, Qin Shujian picked up the teacup in front of him and slowly tasted the spiritual tea. On the other side, in the 10,000 clans battlefield, after more than half a month of seclusion, Qin Yuanbai and the others had officially succeeded in breaking through. It was a pity. The starting point of the human clan's celestial being was too low. Even if the general trend of heaven and earth poured in and had the opportunity to break through, there was no sage realm expert. After the breakthrough, the strongest was still Qin Yuanbai, who was at the 3rd level of the celestial being realm. The others, Yin Banqing, Fang Xinglan, and the others were all at the 2nd level of the celestial being realm. Such an advancement. In fact, it was not considered low. After all, except for Qin Yuanbai, most of these people were lucky enough to break through to the celestial being realm in recent years. In just a few years, to be able to break through to the 2nd level of the celestial being realm was extremely fast. In the city lord's mansion, Qin Yuanbai, who had just broken through, was a little high-spirited. The others also looked very good. "I wonder if anything has happened during this period of time?" The person he was talking to. It was the Golden Rock King and the others who were guarding here. Hearing this, the Golden Rock King thought for a while and said, "After attacking and occupying the Water Eldar's territory, the general trend of heaven and earth poured in. 7 celestial beings have also been born in the Qianyuan sacred ground. Now, all of them have entered the 10,000 clan battlefield. However, during this period of time, the Demon Clan and the Blood Eldar seem to have made some moves. The cultivators of the human clan who went out were also ambushed. Many cultivators and disciples of the academy died because of this ambush." Qin Yuanbai's eyes were slightly cold. It seems that the great victory of the human clan this time has made the other clans afraid. But it doesn't matter. They don't have the guts to attack the human clan's territory now. As for the ambush, it depends on who ambushes who. Regarding this matter, Qin Yuanbai was not too worried. The current human clan was no longer the human clan of the past. They would not be restrained in the human clan's territory just because of the alliance of a few clans. The change in spirit qi. The general trend of heaven and earth poured in. As a result, more and more powerful cultivators were born in the human clan. The so-called ambush. That was also based on the situation where the difference in strength was very big. Otherwise, it was not certain who would kill who. One of the purposes of the opening of the 10,000 clan battlefield this time was to train soldiers. In this way, it was not a bad thing for other clans to ambush and kill the human clan. As long as there was not a situation where a celestial being killed a divine martial artist, or a powerful being killed a transcendent. In that case, there would be no problem. Qin Yuanbai asked, "How is the strength of the people who attacked? Are there any celestial beings from various clans?" "For now, there's no news of anyone above the celestial being realm. Most of the ambushers are in the spirit martial realm and the divine martial realm." Golden Rock King shook his head. After saying this, Cui Huai said, "There's nothing to worry about. We humans don't have much, but we have a lot of people. I'd like to see how many they can kill." His view was no different from Qin Yuanbai's. It was undoubtedly wishful thinking for the demon race to use ambushes to suppress the human race. Holy Fire said, "Now that Niodali has broken through, we can take this opportunity to attack the Gold Eldar and the Wood Eldar. As long as we annex these two clans, the strength of our Qianyuan sacred ground will definitely increase greatly." At that time, the ambush between the two races will be even more useless. Elder Nyo has broken through. Qin Yuanbai and the others were stunned. The few of them couldn't help but look at each other, not daring to believe this news. He broke through from the 6th level of the heaven-human realm to the 7th level of the heaven-human realm. It wasn't that simple. Thinking of Nyo Dali's strength, if he made a breakthrough at this time, even if he wasn't comparable to an Emperor Realm expert, he was definitely not far off. In other words, the Qianyuan sacred ground was now officially a force with a top powerhouse. After the shock, Fan Xinglan suppressed the surging waves in his heart and said with a smile, "If Elder Nyo has broken through to the 7th tier of the celestial being realm, then it is indeed possible to capture the Gold Eldar and the Wood Eldar. The strength of the two clans has been greatly reduced. Even if there are powerhouses now, there won't be many of them. The only problem is the defensive means of the two clans. Without the defensive means of the 5 elements Eldar, there was no need for Nyo Dali to break through at all. As early as when they captured the Water Eldar, the human race took the opportunity to attack the other two clans. But the problem now was, could Nyo Dali, after break through the defenses of the two clans?" Thinking of this, Fan Xinglan couldn't help but look at King of Azure Waves and Golden Rock King. They knew the 5 elements Eldar the best. There was something. Perhaps the other party could give him an answer. King of Azure Waves understood and said after thinking for a while, "With Elder Nyo's strength, breaking the restriction shouldn't be too much of a problem." He just gave a simple answer. The specific situation. King of Azure Waves was not sure. But in his opinion, the restriction set by the two clans shouldn't be too powerful. After all, the more powerful the restriction, the greater the price to pay. The 5 elements Eldar were the spirits of the 5 elements of heaven and earth that gave birth to wisdom and finally took shape. If they wanted to set up a restriction of the 5 elements of heaven and earth, then they needed to return to the origin. Qin Yuanbai thought for a moment and then said, "In 3 days we will attack the Gold Eldar." But, speaking of this, he looked at Fan Xinglan and said, "This time, Elder Fan needs to leave first and go to the Gold Eldar to open a portal. At that time, everyone will go through the portal. To avoid being noticed by the demon race and secretly stirring up trouble." The army was mobilized. There would definitely be a big movement. So, Qin Yuanbai planned to go directly through the portal. Anyway, the Qianyuan sacred ground had an array Grand Master, so it wouldn't be difficult to open a portal. Fan Xinglan nodded. Okay. After the matter was discussed, the Qianyuan sacred ground had already consolidated its forces and was ready to attack the Gold Eldar. 3 days later, the army set off. Through the portal, a large number of human cultivators appeared outside the Gold Eldar's territory. It was eye-catching. The entire territory of the Gold Spirit clan was surrounded by a vast expanse of yellow sand. In the yellow sand, countless Gold Spirit energy wreaked havoc, assimilating all living beings that entered this place without permission into a part of the Gold Spirit energy. Gunjin Sword Realm! King of Azure Waves looked at the yellow sand in front of him and felt a little emotional. He had heard of the Gunjin Sword Realm, but this was the first time he had seen this forbidden place with his own eyes. Although he didn't walk into the yellow sand, King of Azure Waves could feel the threat contained in it. The Golden Rock King said, "The Gunjin Sword Realm is a forbidden place created by the Gold Eldar with the power of the Gold Spirits of heaven and earth. Among the 5 elements of heaven and earth, the Gold Spirits are the sharpest. Any cultivator who walks into the yellow sand will be cut by the power of the Gold Spirits. They will either be completely annihilated by the power of the Gold Spirits, or their flesh and blood will be corroded by the power of the Gold Spirits and assimilated into the Gunjin Sword Realm." The surrounding cultivators heard this. Their expressions changed involuntarily. They didn't know much about the Gunjin Sword Realm, unlike the people from Tianwen Island who knew a lot about it. Qin Yuanbai looked sideways at Nyo Dali. "If we want to break the Gunjin Sword Realm, we have to rely on Elder Nyo. If it doesn't work, Elder Nyo should enforce it. If the Qianyuan sacred ground loses a powerful figure because of a gold Eldar, it's not worth it. Qin Yuanbai's words were unpleasant, but they were also stating a fact. Let's try first. Nyo Dali didn't mind. Looking at the Gingjin sword realm in front of him, he walked directly into the yellow sand. Suddenly, everyone's eyes fell on Nyo Dali's body. They really wanted to see. Could Nyo Dali break this impasse? He stepped into the yellow sand. Between heaven and earth, a terrifying gold spirit power suddenly swarmed over. Every wisp of gold spirit power was like a heaven-shaking divine weapon, giving off an extremely terrifying threat. Not only that, there was also a mysterious power emerging from the yellow sand, trying to condense and assimilate the flesh and blood of living creatures. In just a moment, Nyo Dali was surrounded by surging murderous intent. Gingjin Sword Realm? He didn't move. Instead, he looked at the surrounding yellow sand, thinking about something in his mind. The gold spirit power bombarding him. Before they had a chance to get close, they were shattered by the invisible earth energy. At this time, Nyo Dali, just standing in the yellow sand, he was like an invincible existence. No matter how fierce the surrounding attacks were, they couldn't do anything to him. The moment he walked into the yellow sand, the Gold Eldar also received the news. An expert entered the Gingjin Sword Realm. Ji Mang's expression changed. He walked out of the city lord's mansion and looked at the yellow sand that surrounded the Gold Eldar's territory. At this moment, he felt a great pressure in his heart. The Gold Eldar also received the news that the Water Eldar was forced to leave the 10,000 tribe battlefield. Even the Bitter Sea couldn't stop the human race's tyrannical strength. When the Water Eldar was defeated, Ji Mang had guessed this possibility, but when it really happened, his heart still trembled. The yellow sand covered the sky and the sun. But in Ji Mang's eyes, he could easily see the changes. He saw a person with 2 horns on his head standing in the yellow sand. Around him were shocking sword lights, but they couldn't do anything to the other party. That's the Qin Emperor's mount. The moment he saw Nyo Dali, Ji Mang knew his identity. There was no other way. Dongshin died in the hands of this green bull. He immediately sent the news back to the Gold Eldar, wanting to find out the other party's identity. Moreover, Nyo Dali's identity wasn't something worth hiding. The Gold Eldar didn't spend much effort and easily found out about this matter. In Ji Mang's view, Nyo Dali was very strong, the kind that could be said to be too strong. But, coupled with his identity as the Qin Emperor's mount, it seemed to make sense. However, these were not important matters. In the current situation, the Gingjin Sword Domain couldn't do anything to the other party. When the Gingjin Sword Domain was broken, the Gold Eldar would probably follow in the footsteps of the Water Eldar. Thinking of this, Ji Mang immediately shouted, "Men!" Instantly, the few remaining Gold Eldar Celestials all appeared in front of him. "Lord Ji Mang, what happened?" Looking at Ji Mang's serious expression, the Celestials' hearts jumped. Ji Mang said, "The human race is attacking the Gingjin Sword Domain. It won't be long before they break it. I want one of you to leave the 10,000 tribe battlefield immediately and send a message to the demon race, asking them to send reinforcements." It wasn't easy to send a message to the demon race in the 10,000 tribe battlefield. On the contrary, it would be more convenient to leave the 10,000 tribe battlefield and ask for reinforcements from the demon race in the 4 continents. Hearing this, one of the Celestials cupped his hands and accepted the order. "I'll go now." After that Celestial left, Ji Mang looked at the remaining 3 Celestials and said coldly, "The Gingjin Sword Domain can't be broken, at least not before the reinforcements of the demon race arrive. There's only one way to maintain the Gingjin Sword Domain, and that is to strengthen it. As the Celestials of the Gold Eldar, you should do your part." After saying this, the Celestials' hearts trembled. What did it mean to do their part for the Gold Eldar? It was very clear. One of the Celestials suddenly sighed, then bowed and said, I've lived for 11,000 years and haven't been able to break through the 4th level of the celestial realm. The hope of breaking through in this life is very slim. I only hope that the almighty Ji-Mang can take care of my descendants. In this way, my contribution to the Gold Eldar will not be in vain. You can rest assured that as long as the Gold Eldar is not destroyed, your descendants will definitely not be mistreated. Ji-Mang's face was solemn as he said in a deep voice. Hearing this, the others looked at each other and immediately bowed again. In that case, thank you very much, Lord Ji-Mang. After saying this, they straightened up and in the next moment, jumped into the Gingjin sword domain. Immediately after, their bodies suddenly dissipated, turning into a shocking amount of gold spirit energy that converged into the domain. In an instant, the power of the Gingjin sword domain soared. The traces of gold spirit energy that overflowed in the void had already cut out traces of cracks in the void. P.S. I recommend my old friend's book, Starting from the Extreme Path. Chapter 686. Celestial Burial. Ji-Mang did not stop, but immediately gathered many golden Eldar and continued to throw themselves into the Gingjin sword realm, wanting to make this dangerous place even more terrifying. In the face of such an order, most of the golden Eldar did not refuse. But there were still some golden Eldar who resisted. These clansmen. They were all killed by Ji-Mang personally and thrown into the Gingjin sword realm. From beginning to end, Ji-Mang's expression was indifferent. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. As long as the Golden Eldar's territory is preserved, then the Golden Eldar will have hope of rising again. When that time comes, all the clansmen will remember you. He opened his mouth and said slowly. But no one responded. To this, Ji-Mang did not say anything else. For the Golden Eldar, the territory must not be lost. Or else, the metal spirits had no choice but to seal the mystic realm. Although sealing the secret realm was also a means of self-protection. In fact, unless it was a last resort, no one was willing to seal the secret realm, and even more unwilling to give up all the advantages in such a situation. In the era of great battles, it would only appear once every few 100,000 years or even millions of years. Once missed, perhaps in the next few 100,000 years, there would be no chance to rise again. More importantly, the great calamity of the demon abyss was coming. If the Golden Eldar did not have enough ability to protect themselves, then under the impact of the great calamity, it was very likely that they would be destroyed. Therefore, in Ji-Mang's view, the current actions were all for the continuation of the Golden Eldar. If they really sealed the secret realm, then everything would be gone. The human race! Thinking of the human race, Ji-Mang's eyes revealed a murderous intent. Everything was caused by the human race. If not for the human race, the Golden Eldar would not have lost so many clansmen. As the Golden Eldar threw themselves into the Gingjin sword realm, in an instant, the power of the Gingjin sword realm greatly increased. Boom! The shocking sword light swallowed and spat out the terrifyingly rich Golden Eldar power, rampaging in the sword realm. The sharpness that could cut through heaven and earth. It made everyone's expression change greatly. The power of the Gingjin sword realm has become even stronger. King of Azure Billow's expression was ugly. Not much time had passed. The might of the Jeng Metal sword domain suddenly increased by several times. Such power. Even though he was standing outside the Heptagold sword domain, he still had a premonition of death. Inside the yellow sand, the sword radiance cut through the Gangchi. Nyo Dali also felt a great threat from it. At this moment, he snapped out of his thoughts. Looking at the oncoming sword light, he simply threw out a punch. Bang! With a single punch, the void shattered. The extremely tyrannical power directly annihilated all of the incoming sword lights. However, as soon as the sword light disappeared, more sword lights bombarded him. Nyo Dali stomped his feet on the ground. The moment he mobilized all the power in his body, A dormant power was awakened from his body. Hum! The void trembled. A terrifying shadow appeared in the void. A ferocious and terrifying aura spread out in all directions. In front of this aura, everyone felt their breathing quicken. So strong! The Golden Rock King cried out. When this aura swept over, he couldn't help but have an impulse to prostrate himself in worship. That was a suppression that came from strength. It was also a suppression that came from the bloodline. Regarding this, the Golden Rock King found it hard to imagine. One had to know that the bloodline of the Golden Rock clan flowed in his body. The Golden Rock clan had once given birth to many true immortal level experts. Although the bloodline of the clan's strength wasn't the best, it was still incomparably noble. Otherwise, the Golden Rock clan didn't have the capital to compete with the dragons for the Demon Emperor. But even so, in front of this aura, the Golden Rock King still felt trembling. He didn't dare to imagine just what kind of bloodline was it that could suppress him. Not only did the Golden Rock King's expression change drastically, even the Fire Saint's expression didn't look any better. This bloodline suppression. Not only could it suppress the Golden Rock clan, but it could also suppress the Vermilion Bird clan. As for the others, although they could feel this terrifying aura, they didn't feel the suppression of the bloodline. At this moment, a terrifying shadow appeared. Just a single roar was enough to shatter all of the gunmetal sword aura. In an instant, the Heptagold sword domain shook crazily. Quick, we can't let the Heptagold sword domain be broken! Ji Meng's expression changed drastically. The clansmen who had originally thrown themselves into the Heptagold sword domain immediately quickened their pace. How could this be? When did the human clan have an emperor-level combat power? Ji Meng was shocked. The power that was emitted from the Heptagold sword domain made him feel an endless threat. As a large number of clansmen merged into it, the power of the Heptagold sword domain had already risen to a terrifying level. Ji Meng was confident. Without an emperor-level expert, he would definitely not be able to break the Heptagold sword domain. But now, Emperor! Only a ruler could have such an aura. Ji Meng couldn't believe that Qin Shijian's mount would have the combat power of an emperor. But now, he couldn't care less. Since the power of the Heptagold sword domain couldn't stop the other party, he could only make the power of the Heptagold sword domain stronger. Only in this way. Only then could he stop the other party. Rumble! The sky was trembling. Terrifying power poured down. Countless gold spirit power was like a divine weapon, crazily attacking Neo Dali. It was also at this moment. The fist blasted out, and the terrifying shadow suddenly exploded. Boom! The terrifying power erupted like an endless abyss, annihilating and devouring everything that it touched. The gold spirit power that was drifting between heaven and earth seemed to have been stimulated by something and shook crazily. Countless forces gathered together, trying to block this attack. However, in the face of this destructive power, any resistance was futile. At this moment, the sky had changed color. The terrifying power instantly tore the sky of the Heptagold sword domain apart, and directly bombarded the sky. Faint ripples rippled within. It dissolved the power that was rushing up to the clouds. At this moment, Ji Meng looked at the Heptagold sword domain in front of him, and his eyes were dull. The Heptagold sword domain shattered. It meant that the Jin Eldar's sacrifice was completely in vain. Not only that, it also meant that the Jin Eldar was about to withdraw from the 10,000 tribes battlefield. In the next hundreds of thousands of years, he wouldn't have a chance to make a comeback. At this moment, the Heptagold sword domain shattered. The yellow sand disappeared, and everything returned to its original appearance. Only the gold spirit power that was drifting between heaven and earth was still dense, but it wasn't as terrifying as before. Neo Dali retracted his fist, and was slightly panting. He threw out that punch. He had consumed a lot of energy, and almost used up all of his vital essence. However, the result was remarkable. The Heptagold sword domain shattered, and the Jin Eldar had lost his last barrier. Niu Dali turned around to look at Qin Yuanbai, and said calmly and seriously, "Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you." Hearing that, everyone regained their senses from the shock. Qin Yuanbai was overjoyed. The heptagold sword domain shattered, and the Jin Eldar has no way to stop our human race. Elder Nyo's action is a great merit, and I will definitely report it to Emperor Qin. After saying that, the smile on his face faded a little. Looking at the Jin Eldar's territory in front of him, his eyes were filled with killing intent. "Everyone attack! We must kill all the Jin Eldar's people!" Last time, he let the Water Eldar retreat because the Water Eldar's strength wasn't weak, and he didn't want to cause too many casualties. But the Jin Eldar was different. When attacking the human race's territory, the Jin Eldar's losses were the heaviest. This way. As for the metal spirit race, there weren't many powerful beings left. Moreover, Qin Shujian was also a little dissatisfied with the Water Eldar's matter last time. Although Qin Yuanbai didn't understand why the other party was dissatisfied. But he could know that Emperor Qin didn't want to give the outsiders a chance to leave. Since that was the case, that Jin Eldar's extermination was exactly what the other party wanted. "All clansmen, retreat immediately!" On the other side, the moment the heptagold sword domain shattered, Ji Mang immediately gave the order. Now, there was no trace of the Yao clan. When the human army attacked, the Jin Eldar had no possibility of resisting. Thus, the only way out was to retreat. If they were destined to lose the momentum of heaven and earth, then retreat and preserve the last of the Jin Eldar's strength. The teleportation gate opened. The Jin Eldar left one by one. Boom! A powerful force crushed down from the sky. A large number of experts flew over and directly appeared in the Jin Eldar's territory. The person in the lead. It was Tianhong. Seeing this, Ji Mang's anxious heart instantly relaxed a little. He quickly flew over. "Lord Tianhong! I almost came too late." Tianhong had a faint smile on his face. But when he looked at the humans, his expression unconsciously became serious. Actually, he wasn't late. When the humans were preparing to break the heptagold sword domain, the experts of the Yao clan had already arrived. However, Tianhong had been hiding at the side, wanting to see the situation. In the end, he just happened to see Niu Dali break the heptagold sword domain with one punch. He was greatly shocked. In terms of strength, Tianhong also had no way to break the heptagold sword domain. In other words, his strength was not as good as Niu Dali's. If it was in the past, Tianhong would definitely turn around and leave. But it was different now. The other party consumed a lot of energy to break the heptagold sword domain. Under this situation, Tianhong had the confidence to fight. On the other side, when the experts of the Yao clan appeared, the atmosphere on the human side also became cold. Qin Yuanbai's expression was cold. In his eyes, there weren't many experts of the Yao clan who came this time, but their quality was very high. 3 almighties above the 7th level of the celestial being realm. 5 experts of the saint realm. Lastly, 5 ordinary celestial beings. There were a total of 13 of them, but their combined strength was more terrifying than millions of ordinary cultivators. There were no words. A great battle was about to break out. Niu Dali took a step into the air and transformed into the true form of the green bull. He took the lead to suppress the almighties of the Yao clan. Seeing this, Tianhong also revealed his true form. It was a huge heaven-reaching ape. Next, the other almighties of the Yao clan also revealed their true forms and joined forces with Tianhong to attack the green bull. Clang clang! The sound of metal clashing was heard. A huge vermilion bird spread its wings and terrifying flames burned the sky into a fiery red color. Instantly, Ji Mang used the power of the gold spirit to condense a long sword. In the next moment, it had already slashed through the void and attacked holy fire. In the Qian Yuan realm, Qin Shujian's hand that was drinking tea paused for a moment. He looked up at the sky. After a long while, he retracted his gaze. When did such an expert appear in the 10,000 clan battlefield? He can actually shake the formation I left behind. The sovereigns of the various clans shouldn't be able to make a move. Could it be Neodali? Soon, Qin Shujian thought of a certain green bull. The other party had broken through to the 7th level of the celestial being realm. He was also very clear about this. With Neodali's strength, it was possible for him to do this. Moreover, this should be the time for the human clan to attack the Gold Eldar. Therefore, it was natural for a battle to break out. Although Qin Shujian was in charge of the Qianyuan realm, he was also very clear about the matters of the 10,000 clan battlefield. Every move of the human clan. They could not hide from his eyes and ears. However, Qin Shujian had no intention of interfering in the 10,000 clan battlefield. There was no need to talk about the Great Xiao. As for the Qianyuan sacred ground, with Xiao Chengfeng in charge, it was basically foolproof. Now, with the addition of Neodali, it was even less of a problem. With these two around, the human clan might lose in the war against the outside world. But no matter how they lost, they would not lose the foundation of the human clan. In that case, Qin Shujian didn't care much about it. Not long after, a man dressed in black walked in from the outside. He looked at Qin Shujian and cupped his hands. Black Crow greets Qin Shi Huang. Brother Black Crow, please sit down. Qin Shujian smiled slightly and reached out to the empty seat in front of him. Seeing this, Black Crow Taoist did not dare to be rude. He cupped his hands again and said, "Thank you." After that, he walked to the stone bench and sat down. Qin Shujian waved his hand and a cup of spiritual tea floated in front of him. Brother Black Crow, why do you want to see Ben Huang this time? Black Crow Taoist. Qin Shujian had a good impression of him. Although he helped the human clan because of his hatred for the demon clan. However, this relationship still existed. Even if he helped him forge a magic weapon, in Qin Shujian's view, he was still a friend of the human clan. Hearing this, Black Crow Taoist suddenly felt a little emotional. We haven't seen each other for 2 years. Now that I see you again, I know how big the gap between you and me is. In his words, he sighed in his heart. The last time he saw Qin Shujian, although he had the strength to call himself a Renhuang, he had not really become one. Although he was strong, at most, he was comparable to the Nirvana realm. About 2 years. The person in front of him had become a real Renhuang, and his strength was comparable to a true immortal. In comparison, Black Crow Taoist found that he was really far behind. In the past, he could barely get along with him as an equal. Now, he was inferior. After sighing with emotion, Black Crow Taoist looked serious and said in a deep voice, I want to join the Qianyuan sacred ground. Can you agree? Join the Qianyuan sacred ground? Qin Shujian was stunned. He looked at Black Crow Taoist in front of him. He was a little surprised. The other party came to see him. Qin Shujian had also guessed what Black Crow Taoist's purpose was. But he definitely did not expect. The other party wanted to join the Qianyuan sacred ground. But after a short moment of surprise, Qin Shujian was also happy. It was very simple. Black Crow Taoist was not weak. He had been able to fight against the demon clan for so many years and had been free and unfettered in the 4 major continents. If he was not strong, how could he do this? So, although Black Crow Taoist's strength had not reached the 10th level of the celestial being, he was still a master of the 9th level of the celestial being. If he was placed in the demon clan, he could be regarded as a top demon saint. Black Crow Taoist said, The demon clan has dominated the western continent for millions of years. No race has ever been able to make the demon clan suffer such a big loss. But since the human clan left the eastern continent, the strength of the demon clan has weakened a lot. After several wars, the demon clan has suffered heavy losses. After that, Black Crow Taoist sighed. I'm not afraid to be laughed at. My Black Crow clan was destroyed by the demon clan. I have never forgotten to take revenge. Unfortunately, my strength did not allow me to do so. For many years, I have been killing demon clan cultivators everywhere, but the effect was minimal. I only have one purpose for joining the Qianyuan sacred ground this time. I hope to use the sacred ground to completely destroy the demon clan. Even if I can't destroy the entire demon clan, I want to destroy the dragons and kill the current demon emperor. For this reason, I am willing to fight to the death for the Qianyuan sacred ground. Black Crow Taoist did not hide anything. Instead, he frankly told Qin Haodong his purpose. Qin Shujian said with a smile, "Brother Black Crow, do you have so much confidence in the Qianyuan sacred ground? The human clan is the only force that can deal with the demon clan. If even the human clan can't do it, I can't think of any force in the 4 major continents that can deal with the demon clan." Black Crow Taoist shook his head and sighed. He was now putting all his eggs in one basket. He would join the human clan and use the human clan to destroy the demon clan. Otherwise, with his own strength, Black Crow Taoist was not sure that he could deal with the demon clan. Not in the past, not now. Because the demon emperor had become an immortal. Not to mention that he was only at the 9th level of the celestial being realm. Even if he was at the 10th level of the celestial being nirvana realm, or a half-immortal, he was like an ant in front of a true immortal. After all, not everyone was like Qin Haodong in front of him. He wanted to become a celestial being and kill an immortal. It was really too difficult. Looking at Qin Shujian, who didn't respond, Black Crow Taoist priest continued, "The humankind and the humankind have always had a deep grudge against each other. I can tell that the Qin Emperor is a powerful being who is decisive and resolute. If there is a chance, Qin Haodong will definitely not let the demon clan go. Therefore, I am willing to join the Qianyuan sacred ground, even if it means dying for the sacred ground. As long as I can see the fall of the demon emperor with my own eyes when the human clan attacks the demon clan in the future, it will be enough." It could be seen. Black Crow Taoist really hated the demon clan to the core. Hearing this, Qin Shujian pondered for a long time before saying, "Brother Black Crow, if you can join the Qianyuan sacred ground, Ben Wang will naturally welcome you. But since you have already said this, Ben Wang will not beat around the bush. Please speak, Qin Haodong. If Brother Black Crow joins the Qianyuan sacred ground, you will be considered a member of the human clan. From then on, you will not have the slightest rebellion and will have to obey orders. If you agree, Brother Black Crow can make a rule oath," Qin Shujian said in a deep voice. Now he found that the rule oath was very useful. Anyway, if he encountered a problem, he could make a rule oath. Black Crow Taoist said, "I can make a rule oath, but Qin Haodong must also promise that you will kill the demon emperor." "Okay." Qin Shujian nodded. Even without Black Crow Taoist's words, the demon emperor would die. As the other party said just now, the situation between the human clan and the demon clan had reached an irreversible point. If either side had a chance, they would not let the other side go. If it were not for the strength of the demon emperor and the counterattack of the true immortals of the various clans, Qin Shujian would have already killed the demon emperor on the spot. Now he was still holding back. It was just because he was not strong enough. After receiving an affirmative answer from Qin Shujian, Black Crow Taoist did not hesitate and immediately made a rule oath. He did not ask the other party to make a rule oath either. As the emperor of a region, Qin Shujian's verbal agreement was enough. As for the rest, Black Crow Taoist did not think that he could take advantage of it. The rule oath was made. The smile on Qin Shujian's face also became more enthusiastic. "Since Black Crow Taoist has joined the Qianyuan sacred ground, you are an honorary elder of the sacred ground." Black Crow Taoist heard this and solemnly cupped his hands. Black Crow greets Qin Haodong. It was a simple bow. The subordinate relationship between the two sides had been established. Qin Shujian said, "Elder Black Crow has been in the 4 major continents for so many years. I wonder if you know other individual cultivators." If so, you can also let them join the Qianyuan sacred ground. No matter which race they are from, Ben Huang will treat them equally. Black Crow Taoists matter. Qin Shujian had an idea in his mind. There were many individual cultivators in the 4 major continents. At least there were only a few reasons why they became individual cultivators. Either they were betrayed by their original race, or their race was destroyed and they had no choice but to become individual cultivators. Black Crow Taoists belonged to the latter. No matter which one it was, these individual cultivators did not have much of a racial concept. Moreover, those who could become individual cultivators and do well in the 4 major continents were not weak. At least, those who could be acquainted with Black Crow Taoists were not weak. Although the strength of the Qianyuan sacred ground had steadily increased, it still did not have enough top combat power. There was no way to fight on multiple fronts. If he could recruit a group of individual cultivators, Qin Shujian believed that the situation of the Qianyuan sacred ground would be much better. As for whether the recruitment would fail, he was not too worried. As long as they were living creatures, they would have their own desires and demands. Qin Shujian believed. With his current status and the resources he had, it would not be difficult to satisfy those celestial cultivators. On the side, Black Crow Taoists could vaguely guess what Qin Shujian meant. After thinking for a while, he nodded and said, I know a few. Their strength is around the 7th or 8th tier of the celestial being, but I don't know if I can get in touch with them. It's best if you can. Qin Shujian smiled faintly. He was not in a hurry about this matter. All of a sudden, the heaven list shook slightly. Qin Shujian closed his eyes, touched the heaven list with his divine mind, and then took out the communication jade talisman inside. After a while, the jade talisman's message was read. He opened his eyes again, and there was a flash of killing intent. The Blood Eldar is attacking. Take Ben Huang's token and immediately go to the human clan's territory to help. While speaking, Qin Shujian took out a token. Seeing this, Black Crow Taoist immediately reached out and took the token, then got up and said, I understand. After that, he did not dare to stay any longer and immediately left the courtyard and walked outside. The Blood Eldar is attacking at this time. It seems that they have discussed it with the demon clan. Qin Shujian's eyes were cold. Judging from the message, the Blood Eldar came very secretly this time. The human clan did not know anything about it in advance. Until the soldiers were about to reach the city. Only then did they send the news back. Originally, with Xiao Chengfeng around, Qin Shujian should not be too worried. But the problem was, he did not want Xiao Chengfeng to be easily exposed. Qin Shujian only intended to let the reincarnation of immortal monarch Haotsang stay in the holy city and act as a stabilizing force. To boost morale. To reassure Qin Yuanbai and the others. If they really made a move, it would inevitably cause fear among the various clans. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, Qin Shujian did not intend to let Xiao Chengfeng make a move. However, the Blood Eldar was aggressive. Although the human clan had reinforcements, the various clans were far away. Even the territory of the Blackstone Condor clan in the 10,000 clan battlefield was in its original position. There was a gap in distance. Then there was the transmission of the news. In the end, it would take a certain amount of time for the various clans to help. Normally speaking, at this time, there were only 2 ways for the Qianyuan sacred ground. One was to ask for help from Dezhao, and the other was to let Xiao Chengfeng make a move. However, the arrival of Black Crow Taoist priest had eliminated these 2 options. Black Crow Taoist is considered an expert in the 9th level of the celestial being realm. It shouldn't be a big problem. Qin Shujian thought to himself. He did not remember how many experts there were in the Blood Eldar. Compared to the demon clan's sharp edge, the Blood Eldar was much more low-key. It was also because of this that the Blood Eldar's losses were much lower than the demon clans. Inside the 10,000 clan battlefield, the moment the Blood Eldar attacked, Dezhao also received the news. Inside the city lord's mansion, Xiang sat on the main seat, and the rest were the generals and vassals. At this time, the atmosphere in the lobby was quite solemn. Gu Changqing said in a deep voice, "Now the Blood Eldar's army is about to step into the territory of the Qianyuan sacred ground. Looking at the situation, I'm afraid it's not that simple. What's the situation on the Qianyuan sacred ground side now?" Shi Yang's expression did not change. Hearing this, Duan Sun cupped his hands and said, "I've received news that most of the experts of the Qianyuan sacred ground have left at this time and are attacking the Gold Eldar. Now that the Demon Clan has sent troops to help, they have been entangled. The Blood Eldar came at the right time. It must have been negotiated with the Demon Clan. One side is delaying the main force of the Qianyuan sacred ground, and the other side is taking this opportunity to attack the human territory. This matter. Anyone with a discerning eye could see the purpose of the two clans." Shi Yang said. "Has the Qianyuan sacred ground sent anyone to ask for help?" "We haven't received any news so far." "We haven't received any news." Shi Yang's eyes narrowed slightly. "Does the Qianyuan sacred ground have any other trump cards?" He was curious. At this point, the Qianyuan sacred ground had not sent anyone to ask for help. What kind of trump card did the other party have? Could it be, are they waiting for that person to make a move? Xiang raised his head and looked outside the city lord mansion, in the direction of the sacred city. If the Qianyuan sacred ground had any confidence, then Xiao Chifeng, who was in charge of the sacred city, was very likely. "Your Highness, although the Qianyuan sacred ground has not sent anyone to ask for help, we must all belong to the human race. It is not appropriate for us to sit back and do nothing," Dan Hao said seriously. "How can I sit back and do nothing?" Shi Yang shook his head and said, "But the Qianyuan sacred ground has not asked for help. It is not appropriate for us to make a move without permission. However, the Blood Eldar has the courage to attack the human race. I also want to see how much power the Blood Eldar has left." "Your Highness, you mean, gather the troops and attack the Blood Eldar?" Shi Yang's face was cold. Since the Blood Eldar dared to attack the human territory, he would directly attack the Blood Eldar. He wanted to see. The Blood Eldar still had some strength left. Hearing this, Duan Sun's face changed slightly. "Your Highness, isn't it too impulsive for us to attack the Blood Eldar rashly? It has always been the Blood Eldar who attacked the human race. Today, I will attack the Blood Eldar." Xiang sneered, not caring about Duan Sun's scruples at all. "If they want to fight, we will accompany them to the end. Your Highness is right. How can we be afraid of the Blood Eldar?" Dan Hao on the side nodded in agreement. Attacking the Blood Eldar was exactly what he wanted. As for the West City Lord, who was sitting at the end, he did not speak at this time. The West City Lord did not expect this. He had just entered the 10,000 race battlefield, and he had to face such a big battle. However, this also happened to be what he wanted. Only by experiencing the baptism of life and death could he hope to break through to a higher level. The West City Lord knew how talented he was. If he did not take a gamble, he would not have a chance to break through in the future. After receiving the order, the Great Zhao immediately began to integrate the military forces. At the same time, meanwhile, Fan Yilan and the other elders of the Imperial Astronomer quietly left the human world. This time, the Great Zhao's attack on the Blood Eldar required speed. If the soldiers were allowed to hurry, a lot of time would be wasted. So, what Fan Yilan and the others had to do was to rush to the vicinity of the Blood Eldar's territory, and then open a portal to receive the Great Zhao's army. On the other side, where the Qianyuan sacred ground was, the 9 cities were all under martial law. The cultivators of the other 5 cities were all heading to the front line of the 4 cities. The attack of the Blood Eldar was a big deal. At this time, there were not many Celestials left. Most of the powerhouses had gone to attack the Golden Eldar together. No one expected that the Blood Eldar would suddenly attack the human territory at this time. Inside Yu City, Shui Huai's face was solemn. Is there any news from the Qin Emperor? He only felt a lot of pressure now. Cui Huai did not expect that the Blood Eldar would send troops to attack at this time, nor did he expect that Qin Yuanbai and the others would be entangled by the powerhouses of the Demon Clan. It was obvious. The Demon Clan had already joined forces with the Blood Eldar. The news has already been sent. The Qin Emperor said that he has sent powerhouses over. I think it won't be long. Qi Tianxing shook his head and gave an uncertain answer. He was also under a lot of pressure now. The power of heaven and earth poured into him, allowing him to break through to the second level of the celestial being realm. Until now, Qi Tianxing had just finished his seclusion, but he encountered such a big problem. Cui Huai asked doubtfully. Send powerhouses? Are there any hidden powerhouses in the sacred land? He searched through his memory. He did not find any other powerhouses in the Qianyuan sacred land. In the huge Qianyuan sacred land, all the powerhouses had basically entered the 10,000 clan battlefield. It could be said that there should not be any extra celestials in the eastern continent. At this time, Cui Huai also could not figure out who the powerhouse Qin Shujian was talking about was. However, he did not have time to think so much. Brother Qi, do you think we should ask for help from the Great Xiao? Let's wait and see. Qi Tianxing shook his head. If we really can't resist, someone will naturally take action. Why should we ask for help from the Great Xiao? As he spoke, he signaled with his eyes. Cui Huai also nodded slightly. As for the City Lord Mansion, the other newly ascended celestials were confused at this time. They were all celestial beings who had just broken through. After breaking through, they directly entered the 10,000 clan battlefield. No one expected that they would encounter such a big event as the Blood Eldar's attack not long after arriving at the 10,000 clan battlefield. Well, let's go out and take a look. Cui Huai took a deep breath and then stepped out of the City Lord Mansion. On the city wall, many cultivators had already appeared there. A large number of crossbows were all placed on the city wall, and the cold arrowheads revealed a frightening cold light. These were not ordinary crossbows. They were powerful divine weapons that had been personally refined by a Grandmaster Forging Master. Each crossbow arrow could easily tear through a protective shield, and it could also absorb the power of the true essence to enhance the power of the arrow. The lines on the crossbow arrow. It was where the true essence was stored. As for the person who studied the crossbow arrow, it was Qin Shujian. However, the person who actually refined the crossbow arrow was not him. Elder Cui, Elder Qi. When the cultivators on the city wall saw the arrival of the crowd, their originally tense hearts relaxed a little. Cui Huai nodded, then looked at the distant boundary and said in a deep voice. Where is the Blood Eldar's army now? According to the report of the scouts, they are only 1,000 miles away from us. The cultivator replied truthfully. In response, Cui Huai nodded. 1,000 miles did not take long at all. Soon, the Blood Eldar's cultivators officially stepped into the human clan's boundary. In an instant, Cui Huai crushed a jade talisman. The jade talisman shattered, and a large number of formation patterns emerged from it. Then, the formation patterns on the ground connected, and a large formation was instantly formed. Rumble! The formation was set up, and the earth and mountains shook. Endless murderous intent was revealed from it. The Blood Eldar's cultivators who walked into the human clan's boundary inevitably showed a look of panic at this time. Slaughter. They were instantly aroused. The leader Zhu Yu looked calm. Looking at the incoming killing move, he casually struck out with his palm and broke a hole in the formation. Don't panic. All celestial beings, erase the formation patterns on the ground. After saying that, Zhu Yu added another sentence. Pay attention to the formation's backup. Don't fall like the 5 Elements Eldar. The 5 Elements Eldar's crushing defeat. For the other forces, it was a lesson as bloody as blood. Later on, the Thunder Tribulation with the Rule appeared in the eastern continent. Many cultivators guessed that the formation that buried the 5 Elements Eldar powerhouse was the work of Emperor Qin. with the appearance of the first thunder tribulation. The probability of the other party making a second move was not high. But even so, Zhu Yu would not let his guard down. Everyone be on guard. The moment the battle is broken, immediately launch an attack. Shui Huai's expression was solemn. His eyes looked straight at the Blood Eldar's cultivators who were going to besiege the formation. He had already quietly raised his palm. Although the formation was powerful, but the possibility of stopping the Blood Eldar's army was very slim. Because of the person who set up the formation. His name was Fang Xinglan. P.S. Support the original version, Jidian Chinese Networks. I'm really decent. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.